Good afternoon and welcome to sunny South Africa. The weather is absolutely beautiful and the perfect conditions to have an afternoon safari. Now, my name is Tristan and on camera today I've got Fergus and we are hopefully going to take you on a wild walk through the wilderness of Africa and hopefully you will enjoy all of it. It is a especially warm welcome to the school that is joining us this afternoon. So Jenny Rogers, welcome to the show. Hopefully you're going to have a lot of fun with us. Remember that we are coming to you live in South Africa. So as you are sitting there, I am walking around in the bush, and that means that you can ask lots and lots of questions, and hopefully I'll be able to answer some of them for you. And so send your questions to your teacher, and then your teacher will send them to me, and I will address as many as I can. Now, it's not just me out here this afternoon. There is a number of us out here. I'm going to be on foot, but my colleagues Byron and Ali, well, they're going to be in the vehicles, and both of them are going to be on the search for bigger things, and they're going to be are going to try and see if they can find some lions for you and maybe some leopards, and well, we're going to look for all the little things that might be lurking around in the grass, and maybe if we get lucky, we might even find ourselves an elephant at some point. Now, while I try and walk and try and cover some distance and see what I can find for you guys, I'm going to send you across to Byron so that he can say good afternoon and tell you where he's heading and what he's hoping to find.
Good afternoon, and look what we have just found for all of you, some warthogs. Now, there's some young ones on their knees busy feeding on the wonderful green grass shoots at the moment. Nice to see them. My name is Byron, and on camera with me is VM this afternoon. Like I said, what a lovely start. A family of warthogs. And there's quite a few warthogs around. It looks like 2 adults and 4 youngsters, 4 piglets. And as I said, they're busy enjoying all the green grass at the moment. And the reason why they go down on their knees like that is basically just to allow them to feed a little bit easier. They can eat all the grass they want, and they don't have to bend their neck too far. So it's an easier way for them to feed. There, that little one was doing it again. You see, they constantly feed and eat the grass. You'll see they act almost like, how can we describe them? As little lawnmowers. Caleb, I'm not sure how old those little warthogs are. They look like they're probably a few months old, Caleb. Maybe, I wonder. I would say 6 months old, possibly. It's tough to say, Caleb. I'm not sure, but I think the little ones are about 6 months old, somewhere around there. And then the bigger ones, I don't know, a few years old. Isn't that nice? How lovely. What a lovely start. Now they'll continue on and move through the bush, and they'll go and look for some more food and possibly some water. It's very hot this afternoon. I'm not sure if Tristan told you, but it's about 85 degrees Fahrenheit or 29 degrees Celsius. So a really warm afternoon here today. Now my plan is to try and find some leopards for you. So hopefully we're going to have some luck with leopards this afternoon. That would be wonderful. Area where there was 2 leopards seen this morning, and hopefully they are still around. So we'll try our best to find them for you. And don't forget, please ask your teacher to send your questions through. We love hearing from all of you. It's always a school drive, all the kids asking us questions. So let's see what we can find. Let's go across and see. Apparently he's got some tracks he wants to show you.
I do indeed. And so just now I was saying to you that maybe we'll get lucky and we'll try and see if we can find an elephant while we're walking around. And these here are for an elephant. And these are very, very fresh, nice, good tracks to follow. So when we're out here, we always try and look for tracks that are fresh. And how we tell if a track is fresh is if you have a look at this track, it's nice and clean. You can actually see all the wrinkles that are under the elephant's foot that are very, very sharp edged. If I had to have this track in the morning, there's been a bit of a wind that would have blown, and if wind blows, then you see what happens? Little bits of sand go on top, and they're not squashed into the ground, and so we would have known those were a bit older. So these are from probably around lunchtime. It's now about 4:10 in the afternoon, so maybe about 2 o'clock-ish, maybe somewhere around there. This is when those tracks were put down. Now, these tracks that we see are for a young male elephant. Now, you might be wondering how I can tell that. Well, I know because I actually saw this elephant moving around here earlier in the day. He was here about 10 o'clock. He was feeding a little bit further down, and he was walking in this direction, and then he probably spent most of the day feeding on this open area. But also, I can tell from the size of the track, if it was a female elephant, we probably would have found lots of other tracks for other elephants here as well. Now, the other thing is, we've got two different sizes of the tracks. You can see one is round and one is oval. Now, the round one here is actually the front foot of this elephant, and this one is the back foot. So it looks really odd because you would think that the back foot should be behind the front foot, but it's not. And the reason why is because this elephant was running here. So it wasn't actually walking very slowly. It was moving quite fast, and so its back feet went past its front feet. And the reason why it was moving fast is because we're on a slope. So it means that it's going downhill, and so it was moving too quickly. Good, we're going to follow these tracks. We're going to try and see if we can find you this elephant. And while we do that, let's send you back across to Ali and see what she's managed to find.
Well, hello everyone, and very warm welcome to all of you from the elementary school. My name is Ali, and on camera with me today is Senzo. And we are very happy to have you everyone all on board with the Jenny Rogers Elementary today. Now, we did have a tortoise that was walking down the road, but it's gone and it's now hiding, so it's pretty much impossible to see it. So I'm hoping that maybe if we carry on down this road, we'll be able to find something else. Now, it's very hot here, so I'm going to carry on moving, but our big plan for the afternoon is we want to try and find lions. Now, the lions were sleeping in the morning where they left them, and I am hoping that they're still going to be there when we go there. Now, there's a very good chance that we'll get to see them because lions tend to sleep a lot during the day. Sometimes they will sleep the whole day. So I am hoping that because it's been so hot, they've just decided to stay underneath the shade of a bush, and that they'll be exactly where we left them this morning so that we can see them again this afternoon. So, fingers crossed, that's our plan for the afternoon, to go and spend some time with the king of the jungle, which sounds pretty good to me. Hopefully they'll start waking up as we get there, or we'll see if they are even there. And then once we get there, whoop, it's a bit of a bump on the road. My goodness. Mrs. Addison, warthogs can be dangerous indeed. They have very powerful tusks. Now, they've got the ones that you see like this on top of their mouth, and then they've got some on the bottom of their mouth. The ones at the bottom of their mouth, those are the dangerous ones. Now, when they feel threatened, they can come, and they can even come against humans and attack us, and that can cause serious injury because it's very, very sharp teeth that they can hurt you with. And if you're a lion or a leopard and you're trying to hunt a warthog, then it can be really dangerous. But other than that, unless you're trying to do something mean to the warthog, normally they're very nice creatures, and they just graze and they eat around the area, and they're not too bothered. So as long as they don't feel like you want to harm them, I don't think that you should be afraid, or you shouldn't be afraid of warthogs. They are quite pretty creatures. Tristan's managed to find a tiny animal, so let's go and have a look at what it is.
I have found a tiny animal. I found a wasp that is running around all over the place, and every now and then it flies, as you can see. Where's it gone, Fergus? Oh, here it is. It's right by my feet at the moment, so I'm trying to get out of its way so that it can move around. But it's fascinating to watch this little wasp, because the wasp is flying around and scratching and pulling up little bits of sand. Now, sometimes they do that when they are trying to find, or trying to make a burrow where they can lay their eggs so that they can have little ones, or they're trying to find prey animals. But this one, I'm not sure what it's doing. It's flying all over the place. I think it's getting too hot in the sun, so it keeps trying to fly into our shade and move around too quickly. So unfortunately, Ferg lost it. But that was very, very cool to see. The little wasps like that are very fast. And so this is the best thing about being out in bush, is that we have a situation where, you know, you walk around and we're tracking this massive animal in the form of an elephant, but there's also the ability to see small little insects as well. So we can go and look for things like wasps and all of those kind of things and pay attention to all the little things, because out here in nature, it's not just about the big elephant and the lion and the leopards. It's also about all the small things that we see out here as well. And so being out on foot is the best thing, because you can see all these little things moving and you can smell and you can hear. And so it makes it a lot more fun to be walking. Now, our elephant came this way, so we're going to still carry on trying to see if we can find this elephant. Unfortunately, our wasp kind of walked away from us a little bit and flew away a little bit. And so what I'm going to try and do is see if I can get back onto the tracks of the elephant and see if we can find it. Hopefully these elephants have gone to a little water hole that's not far from us. There's a little place where there's a nice small water point, and elephants in hot weather like we've got this afternoon like to drink. And so if we head towards there, maybe we're going to find these elephants having a nice afternoon drink and even maybe a little bit of a swim. Right, while I carry on following these and see if I can find them, let's send you back across to Byron and see if he's managed to find anything yet and where he's on his way to.
Well, not yet, unfortunately. We're still driving there. We've just come onto an area called Chitwa, which is a neighboring property, and we're heading down towards the dam. A very big dam. There's lots of water down there. Maybe there's some animals that are down there to drink, but like I said, we're going to be looking for leopards. So let's see, but I am still going to scan this area quite carefully. Now let me just position the vehicle over here. And you asked what time is it? So it is, for us, it is about 4:15 in the afternoon. So just after 4 o'clock in the afternoon. This is usually the time that we go on safari, afternoon, and then into the evening. Or the other time, obviously, early morning on our side, so 5:30 to about 8:30. So the early mornings and late afternoons is generally when most of the animals get active. Now that's that beautiful dam that I wanted to show all of you. I was hoping there'd be some animals coming down to drink. Oh, there's a beautiful waterbuck. That's an antelope species we have out here called a waterbuck. And isn't it ideal that we found this waterbuck at the water? Probably went down to drink and now is going off to carry on feeding again. It's a lovely view from up here. Now, these leopards were down in this very thick drainage line, just off to my left, down there somewhere. So we're going to go and try and search. And I'm hoping that we manage to find them. Now, while I do that, let's go across to Ali, who's found one of my favorite animals.
Well, I think they are many people's animals, and it's because maybe they're the biggest animal around here, so there's a lot more of them. Now, this is a very young elephant, still not an adult, and the rest of the herd, so its mom and its brothers and sisters are not too far from here. But this one, because it's a young boy, then he wants to stay behind a little bit. He doesn't want to be with the babies all the time. So he just sort of lags behind. And you can see that it's of a very dark color, not because elephants are of that dark color, but because it's been in the mud and it's been throwing water at himself. Now it's been very, very hot today. Lots of sunshine, lots of heat. So most of the elephants have actually gone to the water holes and tried to cool themselves down by having a bath. Now we've got another one that's coming right in front of us, maybe with a bit of an attitude. And you can see it's shiny, very, very shiny. You can see all the mud in its skin. So it's been throwing a lot of mud on its skin. Nicholas, we do get some very big snakes here, some harmless ones, some that like living in trees, some that like living on the ground. But I think perhaps one of the biggest ones that we get, just in how long they get and how fat, maybe it's an African rock python, which is very similar to an anaconda or just in general any python. Very big and beautiful. Now those ones don't have any venom that can kill you, but they have a very nasty bite. I don't think these elephants, though, need to be that worried about the snakes. Although when they're feeding like this and when they're getting all the grass around, I'm sure the snakes can hear them coming and they probably just really quickly get away from the elephants. Because imagine an elephant grabbing the snake by mistake. I don't know who would get the biggest fright. Caleb, it depends on every single one. Now, the tusks are almost, it's genetic, so they get it from the combination of their mothers and their fathers. So if both the mom and the dad have got very big ones, then chances are that they are going to have very, very big ones. Now, these ones are still small. There are some elephants that are known to have had tusks that each one weighs about 70 or 80 kilograms, which is pretty much the weight of a whole adult person. So very, very big. They can get in very long. Sometimes they drag them on the road when they're walking because they are so long. But this one's over here, still very small. They still have a lot to grow. But I don't think they're going to get those massive ones as the ones that sometimes you see in the movies and in the old books do. But I love it when they go into the water because then their tusks are very shiny, very clean again. Anna, their tusks can be quite sharp at the edge, and a lot of the time they tend to sharpen one a little bit more than the other one, because just like us humans, they use either the right side or the left-hand side a bit more. So they either use their trunk more on the right side to break the branches of the trees or just to help them dig up roots more than the left side. So it's pretty much the same as what we write. Sometimes, or most people seem to prefer to write with their right hand, and some people write with their left hand. It's the same with the elephants, so the side that they use the most, that's the side that it's going to be worn down. And it's always funny when you look at them. I think maybe this one will be able to get a view when he comes out of the bushes. Jonathan, well, they are the biggest animal that we get on land, so they can go anything. A big bull might be about 4 to 5 tons, so that's pretty much the size of about a huge truck. That's roughly what they are. And the little ones, when they're born, they're already about 100 kilograms, so that's quite heavy. That's heavier than me at my current weight. So they are very, very big. Now, the females are a little bit smaller than the males. They don't get to be as big as they are, but still, they're about maybe 4.5 tons. The males maybe 5.5. Very big. You see how it's using the trunk there? It was smelling the leaves on the top and then probably didn't like the taste, or he's tried the taste of those leaves before and he was like, no thank you, and then went back down to try and get more of the grass. Now, because it's the rainy season here also, and there's been a lot of water, look at how yummy all that grass looks. Very, very green. Gray elephants can run very fast. They can go up to about, I would say, between 40 and 50 kilometers an hour. So, as a general rule out here in the bush, we humans, so us humans, we are the slowest ones. Everything can run faster than us. I think this elephant is making a mistake, and it almost ate the dirt. Yeah, you've got to be careful. Otherwise, you're going to eat dirt, and I'm sure that's not that yummy. He's very pretty, isn't he? And it's almost like he's falling asleep. You can see his eyes are a little bit closed. He's a little bit tired. And very wrinkly. All of the elephants, doesn't matter how old or how young they are, they all have wrinkles. elephants can live for a very long time. I think maybe about 65 years. So that's quite a long time compared to a lot of the animals that we get out here in the bush. If you think about it, the lions, which are said to be, the king of the jungle and the strongest animals, they only live until they're about maybe 12 or 15. So elephants live a lot more than some of the other creatures that we have here. See, he's very close to us, and I think he wants to eat the grasses that are right here. Hey, I gave us a hate shake just to make sure that we don't try to do anything to him. It's almost like, okay, this is my personal space, you don't come any closer. And then he's carried on eating and feeding. Maybe he's going to cross the road for us. That would be quite nice. Oh, you can hear him eating and grabbing all, there we go, pulling all the grass from the ground. And sometimes, depending on their weight, a very big bull elephant can eat almost 300 or 200 kilograms of food a day, depending on how big it is. That is a lot. That is, imagine using your trunk. That must be millions of times to try and get 300 kilograms of vegetation. So that is everything from the grass to the fruits to the branches of the trees. Hello. Can we help you with anything? It's just being a very fun one. Let me just get out of the way so that we get to see him walking past us. And although he's still young, I can tell you he is much bigger than me. But there is a balance between us and the elephants, so the elephants would never allow us to approach them so closely if we were on foot. And because we are in the car, and as long as we stay in the car and don't come out, then they have learned to pretty much ignore us and let us just be around them. And we can see them sometimes when we go and we do the bushwalks, but normally we see them from far away and they probably don't even know that we're there. Whereas with the car, they seem to be a lot happier. They're a lot used to people being here, and it's pretty much because we don't interfere with them. We don't get in their way. We don't disturb them. So they've learned that we don't do anything. So that's why they let us see them like this. Joseph, they can sleep standing up, especially the older they get. They won't lay down to sleep, but the little ones, especially the tiny ones, and those ones you see, they go down on the side and they sleep almost like a dog. And when the little ones are sleeping, the herd tends to go around them just to protect them, and they put them in a circle almost, and the little ones are in the middle just to make sure that there is nothing that's going to come and harm them. And then the older they get, the less they sleep, just like normal, people. The little babies sleep a lot more than older adults. And as they grow older, then they tend to sleep more standing up than lying down. Because imagine, it's not really easy for them to move all the way up. Now, there's a tiny one at the back that Senzo can see. And there are a few more that have crossed the road from behind us. So what I'm going to try and do is just quickly turn the car on and just try angle ourselves so that we can have a look at the baby. And there we go. This is good, Senzo. Alright. Seems like while we were busy looking all the way in front of us, they were all crossing the road behind us. Now, they're very silent when they walk, and we don't always hear them, and I thought it was maybe the ones in front of us that were making all that racket, but clearly not. Clearly there are more. Now, this is a big family of elephants. I think overall there must be 20 of them or so. And all looking very dark. I don't know where, but they've all found water somewhere in between the bushes. Probably a lot of rainwater that gathered in a natural pan. And then they've all been putting the mud on their backs. You see that big female there? You can see how shiny the mud is. They've all put it there to act also as a sunscreen, because they don't have sunscreen in the natural world. So what they do is they put a lot of mud to protect their skin from the sun. Right, we are going to carry on our search for lions, see if perhaps we get to see them this afternoon. But we're going to send you across to Tristan, who's looking at a very small animal again.
I am looking at a small animal that unfortunately is being killed by smaller animals, which is pretty crazy. Now what we've got is a beetle that is being overrun by ants, and so the ants are coming in and they're trying to get into the exoskeleton of the beetle. Now when I say exoskeleton, basically with beetles, they're not like us that they have skin. They have a hard layer on the outside that protects them and tries to keep them safe. But you can see what the ants are doing. The ants are trying to go into all the areas where the exoskeleton has little joints on it. So if you look here where the ants are, they're actually there by the legs. And so what they've done is they've pulled the legs off, and they can then get into the exoskeleton and start to try and kill this beetle, and hopefully then break it apart to get to all the nutrients inside here. It's absolutely amazing to watch. So these ants are like the lions of the insect world. So they'll get in and they'll try and find a food source, and then they try and overrun it by using lots and lots and lots of them to kill bigger things. And look at them, you see how they've got these big pincers, and so that's what they're using to try and break the shell and get in between it. And there'll be little soft places, and particularly where they are at the back as well. So in this little section over here, where my stick is pointing, that's where the wings come out. And so it's easy for them to get in underneath there, and they can maybe try and open it up from the back. But it's amazing to watch how strong they are, that those tiny little ants can kill such a big beetle and also be able to try and devour it and eat it is absolutely amazing. And you'll see more and more ants will come in. Izzy, we do have moths and butterflies. So moths are quite difficult to see at this time of the day, Izzy, because most moths are nocturnal, which means that they come out at night. The butterflies, though, they will be around, and I'll try and find you a butterfly, Izzy. I'll look very carefully for butterflies while I'm walking around. And moths, well, there is one diurnal moth that we're seeing a lot of at the moment called a superb false tiger moth, and they're really very pretty. So I'll try and see if we can find you one of those, or maybe even one of the butterflies, because there should be some of them out here. But amazing to see how these ants work. Isn't it incredible? Wildlife is absolutely amazing. I always think it's very cool to see how a small animal like an ant this big can take a big animal like that. It's like lions hunting an elephant. Can you imagine that? Really very, very cool. But we're going to leave our ants to carry on with their meal, because I think us standing there is disturbing them a little bit, and we don't want to disturb nature. We want to try and keep everything to be able to do what it wants to do without us being there. And so me standing there, the ants probably feel as though there maybe is a predator around, and they're trying to kind of move away a little bit. So we'll leave them to their meal and see if they can maybe kill that beetle and find a way to eat it and carry it off and out of these areas where they can get into maybe some of the grasses, where they can then stay out of the way of big predators like us. Good. We're going to carry on these elephant tracks, see if we can find this elephant, and while we do that, let's send you back across to Byron as he continues his leopard search.
Well, now I'm trying really hard to find these leopards. No sign of them yet at all. Now, it is very hot, so I don't know. These leopards could possibly be hiding in a thick area, in a bush, trying to get out of the sun. But I wish I knew where they went, because I think they had a kill right around here somewhere, under this tree. They were actually feeding on some food, but it appears as if it's finished, and maybe a hyena stole part of the kill. Sometimes what the leopards do is they hoist the kill up into a tree to keep it out of reach of other predators. However, in this situation, I think sometimes what they do is they might drop the kill. And then these other animals like hyena might come and steal them. Now, Madeline, you were asking if we might see monkeys today. Well, we do have monkeys here, monkeys and baboons. I'm not sure if we're going to see. I'll try my best to find for you. But yeah, well, we do definitely have them in this area. And sometimes they do come close to the water. I wish I knew where these leopards went. They can be very, very tricky to find sometimes. But I'm sure they're lying around here somewhere. Now the trick is to try to find some fresh tracks, maybe which way they went. And it's very hot. So these leopards will be hiding, like I said, they'll be hiding in the shade, they'll be lying down, resting, and later when the temperature cools down, then they'll probably start moving around. Miss Addison, occasionally the leopards climb trees. They do climb trees, and like I said, they had a kill in that tree that we were looking at. So chances of them being in a tree are pretty good, especially on a hot day. They might lie up in a tree to get out of the heat. So I just want to check all these little paths just to see if perhaps there aren't any fresh signs of the leopards walking away from this area. But it would be wonderful to find a leopard up in the tree. It is difficult to see tracks around here. All right. Well, let's go back to Ellie and find out. Maybe she's got more luck with the lions than I have with the leopards.
Well, so far no luck. So the lions moved from where they were this morning, so we're just going around trying to find them. See if maybe they've moved around here, because I saw an elephant that wasn't too happy a little bit earlier on, so I suspect the lions are not too far away. Likely their smell is still lingering somewhere here, and this is what the elephants can smell. But so far no luck. We haven't been able to see where they are. We could see where they had been lying down because the grass was all squished, but we can't see any real lions for now. But we're going to carry on looking for them. Maybe we'll get lucky. Nothing here. Kingsley, how many animals have I seen today? Well, I'm not sure. Let's see. I've seen 2 leopards in the morning. I saw probably about 100 impala. Lots of birds. And then this afternoon we saw about 20 elephants together. And then we saw a tortoise as well. I don't know. And in my lifetime I have no idea. I'm hoping that it's going to be millions by the time that I'm old. Hopefully very, very cool ones too. Now, I cannot see anything here for these lions, and I wonder where they are. So I'm going to try and puzzle this and piece it together and figure out where they could have gone. I'm going to send you back to Tristan, who's enjoying the company of a reptile.
I am enjoying a company of a reptile. I've gotten low down to the ground because I'm having a look at my little friend that seems to be crossing the road. How cool is this? We've got a lizard that's very relaxed. Normally lizards are shy and they run away from us. And so this one is sitting really still and lying on the ground. And so I thought I would get down on the ground too so that I can have a little look at our little lizard friend. Now it looks like one of the bushveld lizard. I'm not 100% sure if it is one. It's a very big one if it is. The bushveld lizards, they change color. So basically they go from a sort of dark blackish color and then they change to these when they get a little bit bigger. But how amazing is this? Hey little guy, what you doing? It's so relaxed. I would have thought it would have been very scared of me lying down on the ground, but it doesn't seem to be scared at all. I wonder if it's maybe because it's just checking me out and making sure that I'm not dangerous. Now, what it's probably doing is it's probably hunting the ants and various little things that are moving around on the sand. It's a nice, easy, open clearing where they can see food, and then they can run in and they can grab the food. And I can see lots and lots of different ants that are crawling around. In fact, here comes an ant right now. So there's an ant that's coming along, and so there it goes across the surface of the soil, and so this little lizard is able to then hunt those kind of things that come past. Isn't that cool? And you'll see that it's very, very well hidden on sand like this. It's got the perfect coloration for us to miss it. So if it goes on the sand and it can quickly scurry past, and then it goes quite close to the grass, it's very difficult to see it. But I'm so surprised at how chilled this little guy is. You also notice it's got a very long tail. It's always quite common to see on lizards them having long tails. It just helps with their balance and also increases their size to make them look bigger, so that things like birds maybe are a little bit more intimidated by them and stay away from them. But this is amazing. Can't believe how he's letting us get so close. It's very, very cool to see. I wonder what he's going to do if I try wiggle closer to him. Probably will run away. Very cool, though. Harper, well, I am currently on a road called Zoe's Road in the middle of an area called the Sabi Sand Game Reserve, which is in the northeastern corner of South Africa. Now, South Africa sits right on the southern tip of the African continent, and if you had to have a look at a world map, would be pretty much dead center in the world map. So we're quite far away from where you are at the moment, and we are in an area that is full of wildlife and full of lots of amazing creatures, and so it's easy for us to find lots of cool things out here, and it's a part of the world that is famous for having lots of amazing animals in it. I wonder if we can get a little closer. Let's see. If I move like a lizard, maybe this lizard will become my friend. I'm not doing a very good lizard, am I? Hey, little guy, why aren't you running away from me? I wonder if it's trying to just stay still as a way of staying safe, because sometimes if things move, then other animals will notice them. So you'll find animals that rely on staying hidden, or camouflage, as it's called, will stay dead still if you come close to them, because they try and use their pattern that they've got on their body to stay nice and safe. So maybe that's why this lizard is just sitting very still like this and allowing me to get as close as I am at the moment. But what's interesting with this lizard is that it's closing its eyes every now and then as though it's falling asleep right next to me, which is pretty amazing. George, well, it depends on the lizard that we're talking about. This little lizard here, while its scales are quite tough and it will help protect its body a little bit, for the size of the lizard, unfortunately, if I had to grab it, I would probably be able to do a lot of damage to it, because my hands will be much stronger than the lizard's scales. But if we go up to something like the size of a crocodile, we know that those scales are really very tough, and it can be hard for us, or any predator, to get their teeth into those scales. So it just depends on the size of the lizard, and so these small little guys like this, unfortunately, things like birds, other snakes, other lizards, even some of the cats would be able to grab these guys and eat them quite easily, because their bodies are much softer than the big ones like the crocodiles or the monitor lizards. But I'm so surprised at how relaxed this little guy is and that he's not running away from me. Very cool. Now what you can see is you see that he's got quite short front legs and very long back legs. I don't know if you can see that. So his back legs will be his speed legs. And those are legs like Usain Bolt's legs. They are long and full of muscle, and they help him to go very, very fast, or her to go very, very fast. And the front legs are just there to keep them nice and steady. So those will balance him with a long, long tail and keep him from falling over when he's going very fast. And I'm sure this lizard can run very, very quickly if it wanted to. But for now, it's just taking it so easy. This is so cool. It's not every day we get to sit with a lizard like this. Do you see? Look, he's licking his face. So sometimes if they get a bit of sand on their face or something like that, they'll lick across just to remove that. And it's amazing to watch their little tongues coming out as they kind of do it. This is cool. Like I said, it's not always about the big animals out here. Sometimes it's really nice just to sit and watch some of the smaller guys as well. He really is falling asleep, though. Every now and then the eyes are just closing a little bit, and it seems as though he's so relaxed with us. Right. Well, we're going to probably leave this little lizard by itself, because this is the coolest little thing, and I don't want it to get hurt or to get scared of us. And so while I do that, let's send you back across to Byron, who's still tracking that leopard, and hopefully he'll have some luck soon.
All right, well, I'm trying our best, but no luck yet. I just want to switch off and listen. It sounds so wonderful. That little sighting that that Tristan had of that lizard. It sounds amazing. I think this leopard's actually lying. I don't know. I'm just going to try have a look and see if we can see him. I think he's in the grass. I think he's in the long grass. Hold on. See if we can maybe get a view. It's very, very thick here at the moment. Let's just have a look. Hold on. I'm going to try to see. Now, as I said, with it being so hot, maybe... I can't see anything in here at all. It's very, very thick. We'll try have a look. Now, Jalen, a leopard, a big male leopard, can weigh almost the same as me. So about a big male leopard can get up to about 80 kilograms, which is maybe 140 pounds. No, 180 pounds. About 180, 190 pounds for a big male leopard. That's really, really big. Now, I'm just trying to see there are some other people on safari in this area too. But I really can't see this leopard. Josiah, this leopards can run at quite a speed, but they can't hold that speed for very, very long. So usually if they do run, it might be a short distance, and they can cover quite a few meters per second. So, for example, if you think of the fastest sprinter in the world, Usain Bolt, he runs 100 meters in about 9 point something seconds, call it 9.8 seconds. Now, a leopard can probably run, if it had to, at full speed, run 100 meters, maybe at about 5 seconds. So think of how fast that is, and probably 5 seconds. It's amazing. But that would be if it kept that speed up, just to put things into perspective of how quick they are. I'm going to see if we can get a better view of this leopard. But while I do that, let's go across to Ali and see if she's had luck with those lions.
Well, we have. We managed to find all of the pride of lions, which I'm very excited about, and they all seem to be here. Now, I think there's even a little one. There we go. You see the tiny one trying to grab somebody else. Now, there are a few branches in our way, and we can't really go and move them because I don't think the lions would like that much. So we're going to wait here for them, see if maybe they're going to start moving and show us how big they really are. But I think that at some point today, either the elephants chased them and they had to move and leave the area where they were in, or perhaps they got interested in something that they wanted to go and hunt, and then they started following it and then moved into this spot. And I must say, they've chosen very well because there's a nice cool breeze coming here. It's not as hot. So, lions, you were very smart today, I must say. You've chosen a good spot. It's very nice all the way over here. I wouldn't really complain. Now, it seems like the majority of them are here, but there's another one that's actually lying on the road. Oh, there it comes. I think she's decided to come back to the rest of the pride. She's here on the right-hand side. There you go. See the beautiful lioness. Very big. I think there are a lot of thorns in there where she's walking, and that's why she's walking that particular way. You see, she's almost being very careful as to where she puts her feet. And now, are you going to go and step on... She might lie down on top of all of the lions and just start a big pile of lions. Her tail's in somebody else's face. Alright, yep. Seems like the best place to be is right in the middle and on top of everybody else. She pretty much just pushed everyone out of the way. Oh, yawning. Very tired. I think there might be a better spot for us to park the car. So I'm going to try and move us a little bit, because if there are no stumps that will give me a flat tire, I think we can actually park in just a little bit further there from where we are, and then we'll get a nice view of them. Alex, how strong the lions are, you ask? Well, they are very strong. They are probably the strongest, or one of the strongest predators that we have in this area. I wouldn't even know under what exactly to measure them, because they've got a very powerful bite, a lot of strength, and it's definitely one of the most beautiful creatures that we've got out here. Now, they are strong enough to be able to hunt bigger creatures, like for example buffalo, and in some areas they even hunt elephants and giraffe, that are the tallest animals as well. So, oh, there we go, giving the little one a bath, but I don't think it was too happy. And you see, that's the typical, it's almost like the lion's version of hugging, when they go and start licking each other like that. So they do it for two reasons. One of them is to be clean and get rid of ticks and dirt and pretty much anything that might be in there. And the other reason is just to make sure that all the family bonds are good. So it's, I don't know if you've ever seen, sometimes if you go to a family gathering, all the girls are sitting together talking and doing things. Well, it's pretty much the same as this. Now we're going to have another lion that's going to join the rest of the pride, and it's going to be walking very close to our car. There we go. Hello. Nice to see you too. Sorry, there's a log in your way, isn't there? Or perhaps you just want to listen out for anything else that might be there. Very beautiful. I love lions. I think they're some of the coolest creatures that we get out here. Now let's see if this one's also going to go and join in the middle. At least this one was stepping on top of everybody else, and maybe it's just gone straight to say hello to its mom. Maybe mom's not too happy to see him. Everyone's saying that the lions are cute. I agree, especially the tiny little one. It's always full of nonsense and always up to some things, and I think it's fantastic the way that lions always have to lie very close to one another. Look at that. Also, it's pushing everyone around. So cute. Right, well, I think this is all of it for us for today, but I want to thank you all for joining us on this afternoon drives. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did, and then we'll see you guys up to the next time.
Damn it. I'm so sorry. We just we found this leopard, but you can actually basically just see some movement in the long grass. That leopard is panting. Can you see the rosettes? It's so well camouflaged and well hidden, and I'm afraid it's because it's a hot day. I think this leopard is full from feeding on I don't know, I think it was a waterbuck that it caught, so really full belly, very hot, trying to get away from flies and from the heat. So it just got into the long grass and is lying in there somewhere. Oh, there we go. You can actually see it a bit better. There you can see the pattern. Oh, there's the face. Is watching us. Do you see that? There we go. Sure, I am struggling to see it. Oh, maybe it moves for us. Oh, there we go. Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Look at this. Now this is a great surprise. Decided to come out for us. Isn't that perfect timing? Look at this. This is a big old male leopard. This is awesome. Well, he clearly likes all of you and wanted to show himself. He's going to walk in front of us. Look at this. No, that is a wonderful surprise. I'm hoping he decides to lie out in the open, in the shade perhaps. Now let's see if he decides to climb this tree. Let me move forward slightly. Hold on. Let's see. I don't know if he's going to climb the tree. I don't see why he would. I don't see any remains of the kill in the tree. He's possibly just having a look around. Wendy, you were saying if this is Tingana, he looks like he's in much better shape. He does indeed. Yeah, you see, Wendy, I don't know. To be honest, I didn't see Tingana when they said he was in bad shape. So I'm not sure. But he's fed on quite a bit, and his belly looks full. But you can see his back is quite slender, not that full, round look of a healthy leopard. So I wonder if he's going to decide to jump up for us. Let's see. And Faith is just curious now. Is the school drive finished? I think they have. I think they just missed the leopard. Oh no, I think they just missed the leopard. That's such a pity. We looked high and low for this male. He was hiding. I mean, it was actually impossible to spot him. Unfortunately for us, watch. He seems to be smelling. Now, I don't know what happened here. There was... Like I said, I don't know what happened here. There were two... Watch. Oh, there we go. Let's see if he climbs up further. Hold on, let's just wait. I'm just going to wait. He's going to go. Here we go. Oh, wonderful. If I was him, I'd also stay up there. Nice cool breeze. Actually, I want to see if there are any remains. Oh, you know what? There's a leg hanging over that branch, and I think that's what he's gone up for. That's why he's gone up there. Barely anything left, just a little bit of remains. So I was going to say what I think possibly happened is I wonder if that young male leopard Tumba that was in this sighting before, or in this area, maybe he got up and took some of the kill and fed on a little bit. And so now this big male Tingana is possibly going to try and finish what's left, chew on a few bones, try and get everything or as much as he can from this kill. Look at that balance. This is such a wonderful sighting. It's so funny. We drove up and down here looking and we couldn't find anything, and all of a sudden... And Jonathan, you say he seems to be such a comfortable climber. Well, he is. He's an experienced leopard. He's been in and out of trees his whole life. So his balance, is impeccable. And the ability to climb is obviously very, very good. At least it's a nice shady spot. There we go. He's got a little bit of those legs that are left. And like I said, I think this leopard is really trying to get as much of the carcass as he possibly can and try and eat everything so nothing goes to waste. He isn't sure when he's going to get another meal. But, I mean, he does look fairly healthy. He's been climbing. He's doing really well. LJK, now I'm not sure. This kill has been here for many days. So I don't know who killed the waterbuck, if it was that young male leopard, Tamba, or if it was in fact Tingana. I'm not sure. Now I know Tingana has been hanging around this dam for quite a few days. So it was possibly him. Experienced hunter. But I don't know. I really don't know. So he's trying to get... There's really not much left there. But he'll try his best to get everything that's left. And luckily for him, there's water close by. I think what will happen is later this afternoon, I'm assuming that he will then move and go and drink. When it's a little bit cooler, it's actually starting to cool down a little bit already. So I'm just allowing you to listen to some of the bird calls around. There's grey go-away birds. Maybe we hear some of the crunching of the bones. It's actually a very peaceful sighting, this, and such a privilege to spend time with an old leopard like this. You can just see him crunching on the legs there. So I know he was up the tree the whole of this morning with Ali. I think she spent a lot of time with him. And then he probably, as it started to heat up, decided to go and lie in the long grass. And now it's time. I think we're very fortunate. Our timing was perfect to get him going up the tree. That was wonderful. Alright, I think let's, why don't we go across to Tristan, who's still walking about, find out how the walk is going this afternoon for him.
Well, Byron, it's actually been delightful. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself. It's been a walk of lots of interesting and very cool finds. The lizard was absolutely mind-blowing, and, well, the ants on the beetle was also pretty cool as well. Now, we picked up tracks for wild dogs just now that were coming in this direction. They're from this morning, so they're not very fresh, but we're having a look around to try and see if we can find them maybe lying under some shade somewhere. It looks like maybe 2 or 3 dogs, so it's going to be quite tough to find them. But while we were walking along through here, I remember the other day when we had that lioness from the Mbiri Pride, that lone lioness, and she came through and she had herself a tortoise meal. So I thought, well, let's go and have a look and see what was remaining from the tortoise meal. And there's not very much at all. There's lots and lots of bits of shell all over the place here. So you can see how this tortoise was completely devoured. There's bits of it all over the place. The shell has been broken up into lots of different pieces. You can actually see even signs of the sort of edging being broken off, and there's lots of mess all over the place. But the real interesting stuff is that some of the little pieces of this tortoise shell actually show the canine mark. So you can see where her canine went straight through in that area there and went into the tortoise itself, and that's where she would have got grip enough to be able to then crunch down and break the shell apart. Now, it's not every day that we get to see the perfect size of a canine of our cats, but that gives you an idea of just how big the canine is of a lion. Now, this could be obviously the lower jaw or the top jaw. It's very difficult to say which one it was, but it gives you a nice kind of indication that if I had to put my finger there, my finger would pretty much go through into that hole there. So it's about the thickness of my forefinger or my index finger, and that pretty much gives you an idea of how big those canines can be. Now, I'm pretty sure also that the canine didn't go all the way through. She probably got through a little bit, and with the force that she was trying to clamp down, it slipped in, and then she pulled it out again, and that's why it actually isn't as big as it probably could get. You'd probably find that she'd have a bigger sort of mark if you actually got her to put her teeth all the way through. But isn't that incredible? I think it's very cool. It's not every day, like I say, that we get to see what a lion's canine looks like when it bites into something. Often it's just soft meat that we see, whereas this is actually an indication of a sort of a round or very hard surface that she's bitten into, which makes it actually very clear for us as to how big it is. So I think that's absolutely fascinating. It also just goes to show what she did to this poor tortoise. She just absolutely mangled it, and the thing didn't stand a chance at all. Good. Now there's also one other creature that I want to show you here, since we're on the subject of cats, and it is not a cat, but it has its namesake. So over here is a very fancy, very pretty looking caterpillar. Now, which caterpillar this is, I don't know. I'm not very good with caterpillars, if I'm honest. It takes me a while to learn these guys, and there's also very few field guides that we have in these areas that actually discuss caterpillars in any length or describe caterpillars in any length. So it's a bit of a guessing game, and you've got to try and kind of send them off and try and get as many people to try and research them as possible, or people who do research them, in order to be able to tell what they are. But I think he's got the coolest little markings, and he's a very furry fella, and so he's got a very cool sort of feel to him. I wouldn't actually touch that though. Those hairs are going to irritate you massively, and poor Senzo the other day got his first taste of what it's like to get a caterpillar down your shirt and onto your arm, because he came to us after drive and said to us, that everything was itching like crazy, and he most definitely had a caterpillar on him at some point. But how cool is that little guy? I think he's very cool. He's got nice big long kind of antenna looking structures coming forward, which is very cool. Good. Right, we're going to send you from this furry caterpillar to a different furry cat, but much larger, and ones that possess teeth like the ones that did the damage here.
Well, seems like the lions are quite indecisive now. They've come back to the road, and then they were sleeping on the road, just loving it. And all of a sudden, I'm not too sure what happened, and they all moved back into the shade, further into the bush. And then I think I've just seen some of them moving and choosing another spot, so they seem to be a little bit restless to me. There were some kudu around the area, and apparently reports from the last vehicle that was there with them this morning is that the kudu were headed their way. So I wonder if perhaps the kudu didn't even bump into them, causing them to get up and start moving. Perhaps the elephants, and I'm pretty sure they found some elephants, because we did see one that was looking a little bit antsy running around, tail spread out, because, well, who would want to fall prey to those giant paws? I definitely wouldn't want to. So I'm not too sure what actually they would like to do. Seems like they are quite spread out. So far, I think everyone's been accounted for. They've all been sleeping, some in the first initial spot where we saw them, then there were two here, and I see some of them are moving in between the bushes just ahead of us, but I think they're all just choosing a place to go and lie in. Now, they're just pretty much walking right in front of us, and it's a little bit tricky because there's a very dense cover right here where we are, but I think they're just all settling in there for now. I think that might be a bit of a better spot. I think we are going to reverse, and then we're going to try to go around the Sleeping Beauty on the road so that we don't get in her way, so that we manage to get onto the other lions that are on the other side. Because now they're making us work for for the visuals. Not that easy. All right. Let me just reverse quickly. But while I reverse, we're going to send you guys across to the spotted cat that's keeping Byron company.
It is indeed, and we're very fortunate. We've got a wonderful view of this leopard feeding up in the tree. And I think we're lucky. I think this might be, well, I'm almost certain that this is the last time this leopard will climb this tree for this kill, because it's just about finished. He's already dropped a few pieces, but there's a little bit left that he's feeding on. Roan, now I've seen leopards feed on carcasses that are 3-4 days old, rancid carcasses. Okay, let's have a look. Is he going to turn around quickly and try to come down? Not sure how much of all those bones, if he's going to feed on any more of it. But Roan, so yeah, some rancid carcasses that I've seen leopards Some older leopards scavenge off of. They find a kill that's been left behind that they then take and try and feed on, or a large carcass that they keep for 3 or 4 days, and then they feed on that. Oh, watch! That's such a beautiful view. Look at him. Isn't he magnificent? So, Rowan, yeah, and a lot of these predators, I don't think we realize how just how strong their digestive system is, because they are able to feed on meat that is really, really quite old, and it doesn't seem to bother them. Here he comes. I think your timing's perfect. Let's see how he gets down. Amazing. He's still got so much power. Oh, that's beautiful. Sorry. How lovely was that? But you see his power, how he manages to turn slightly as he's coming down. And and the ability to hold on with those claws. Now that's the difference between lions and leopards. Lions don't have that ability to turn and really hold on and balance and grip as well as leopards do. But you saw how powerful his claws are, and even for an old leopard, he's still in good condition, and his ability to climb definitely hasn't changed. Matt, I'm not sure if Tumba's is still nearby. I've been looking around. You know what? There's a good possibility he's lying in the bush somewhere. But I'm not too sure. I haven't seen him yet, but it has been really hot. So perhaps he is hiding somewhere here, just like Tingana was. See, now I think he's managed to find that little piece of leg that dropped. Christine, you asked, is it possible that Tingana has a disease causing muscle loss? No, I don't think so, Christine. I think he's just an old leopard. I think he's just losing condition. That's all. No reason. But he's still looking fairly healthy. So yeah, I think it's too soon to worry. But he's had, I think, a good long life. He's been dominant here for many years. So leopards don't have a long lifespan. Male leopards, between 12 and 14 years. That's an average for a lifespan of a male leopard. Females up to about 17 years. That would be a good age for a leopard. Between 15 and 17 for a female. Ilana, age 14. Hello, Ilana. You asked, are there any subspecies of leopards? Well, not necessarily subspecies, Ilana, but a lot of different species of leopards. Now, in parts of the world, you have snow leopards. Let's see where you go. Snow leopards. What are the others now? Obviously, these leopards. There is clouded leopard, or cloud leopard. I'm not sure. That's 3 that I can think of. I think there's the Asiatic leopard or Asian leopard, if I'm not mistaken. Those are different species. So there are quite a few different leopards around the world, all over the world. See, he's looking for the few pieces that he dropped. I think he's just feeding on bits and pieces there. We'll spend some more time with him and see what he does. I think let's go across to Ali, who fortunately managed to find those lions, and it sounds like they're moving now.
They are moving. The adult females have gotten up and they are gazing into the distance, but I cannot see from here what it is that either they heard or what they're looking at, but definitely something spiked their interest as they're all now up and facing in that direction. And they're approaching very calmly. Now, the rest of the youngsters are still here and they haven't moved yet, so I just want to give them a little bit of time so that they can choose what they want to do before we start making a noise with the vehicle, as I'm not too sure. Earlier on we heard something in the distance, but I couldn't pinpoint if it was a lion growling or if it was actually a potential prey species. I haven't seen anything from here, but I wonder if there aren't actually any kudu or perhaps any nyala down towards the drainage line, but they are now definitely alert and standing very still, all of them facing the same direction. You see, this one's taking her time going, and we've just come from that area, and again, we couldn't see anything there, but clearly their enhanced senses can definitely pick something up. Like I said, I'm not sure what they are approaching, so I don't want to tamper with what's happening at the moment, so I think we're going to pretty much stand still until they figure out what it is what they're doing. There's a little one even pretending that he knows what it's going on. Well done. That's the way you're gonna learn how to hunt one day. See what the big ones do. Now, earlier on, there's a one with a wound on her back, and then she came from that direction, and then it's almost sounded like a growl, and I thought that perhaps there was a male down there. So we went down there and we looked around quickly, but we couldn't really see anything from the distance. But didn't we see that buffalo around here a while ago, Senzo? I think maybe we did. We're close to this area, so it could be that there's something there, definitely something that's going to interest them. And I doubt it's Tristan and Rexon on the walk, as we're not really in this area. What are you guys looking at? Yeah, you see she's raising her head now. She can even catch the scent of whatever it is that they picked up. So they're analyzing what it is, smelling. Seems like some of them are even stretching. It's amazing how they've gone from half asleep to standing up, looking around, becoming alert and steady. Now, as I said, what I found interesting is that it seems that it's the adult females, the ones that have gone and moved around. The rest of the youngsters are still somewhat all scattered around, and I think probably the little one is the one with the least idea of what's actually going on, because it's the only one that's still moving around when everyone's still standing still. What are you guys looking at? Now you see, she is definitely very tense, and she's calculating her movements, so you can almost feel that tension. And she can probably see it very well. I doubt that whatever it is that they're looking at is too far away, but clearly when we were there we couldn't see anything, so it must have approached in the last little while, the last few minutes that we've been on this side of the road with the rest of the pride. No. No idea. Can you see anything, Senzo? Not yet. First lady lions, well, for them to smell or hear their prey, it depends on a few different factors, but the wind is a very important one. The wind will definitely help them pick up scents that are coming from a further distance. Now in this particular case, and if you look at the grass that's blowing next to her, it's actually taking their scent away from the direction in which that they're looking. So they learn to hunt using a lot of things in their favor, the sun, the wind being some of them, or the most important ones that they use. And they, if the wind is blowing in a favorable condition for them, they can pick up a prey from a certain distance. I would say probably sometimes a few kilometers or so. Probably can hear more than what they can smell at a certain distance. I would probably say that if a lion roars in the night, and particularly if it's a cold night where sound travels a lot more, that perhaps you'll be able to hear it 10, 20 kilometers away. And if that's for us humans, I reckon they can hear it for even further. Now, there's another lioness that's gone around, and she's just left the guys here, and I just saw her walking down the road all the way, and I've lost track of her now. I'm not too sure where she's gone off to. So I wonder if perhaps she's not gone around to try and push whatever it is that they're after in this particular direction. Alright? She's hiding. She's definitely hiding. She doesn't want whatever it is that they're looking at to see her. She's coming back this way, but the rest of the lions are going down the other way. Now you see all the youngsters are here. The youngsters are not participating, they're watching. All of them. And it's amazing. There was no sound whatsoever that came from any of them. I reckon perhaps they were just looking at body language, and then they knew to stay put. It's always fascinating as to just how they know. Now she's also gone around, the lioness that we were looking at, and she's definitely moved. And I think she might also try and work join the other female that's also gone around to try and push whatever it is that they can see in the specific direction. Now, lions, because there's a bit of a debate as to if they've evolved to be sociable animals to be able to hunt bigger prey, or if because they hunt bigger prey, then they've evolved to be sociable animals. It's really a bit of a tricky one. But what is fascinating about the way that they hunt is just there's been no spoken words or languages or noises that they've made. Two of them have gone around, and they're pretty much trying to then push whatever it is, and I reckon they're going to try and push it in here or in this direction, as there are two more females that are just behind some bushes hiding. So I've seen them hunting that way often, where they'll just try and go around, and if they cannot catch whatever it is, then there's a bit of a difference between lions and leopards. Lions will try to chase that last little second their prey, or if they can, they'll run it down. Now, I can still see the tawny colors in between the branches of the trees over there. But as I said, I'm too scared to move because we might give anyone's position away. And right now, we just want to be spectators as to whatever it is that's going on. Victor, lions can have a higher success rate in winter. For no other reason really than the animals being a little bit weaker. So sometimes they don't have enough food, they're tired, they're thirsty, and it'll make them weaker and gives the lions the upper advantage. However, I think they might even have to sort of even itself out, because they also have to work a little bit harder to try and conceal themselves from whatever it is that they're hunting, because everything we see around now that they're using to hide themselves, well, it would be about half the size in winter. The vegetation is very thin during the winter time. So the two lionesses that were in the middle, they've gone all the way down. Francis from Israel, I don't think it could have been a snake. They definitely wouldn't have all gotten up and carried on sniffing and smelling in that direction. I think it's some sort of antelope of some species, very likely. And judging by the vegetation here, my guess will be Anyala, kudu. I haven't seen impala here, but could be that there's an impala, bushbuck also, buffalo could be. But had it been a snake, their heads would have probably faced down towards the ground rather than looking up and smelling. And if it was just one snake, I don't think that they would have all done their proper hunting display of moving around and trying to catch something. I think the one would have just pounced on it. No idea what they're looking at. I feel quite helpless now as a human. Freddie, you're 6 years old and you wonder where the big male lion is. Well, we're not too sure, but we're pretty sure that it's not with the rest of the pride and with the rest of the females. Now, male lions pretty much do whatever they want, and sometimes they're together with their brothers, sometimes they split up, and they're not always together in a group like the females and like the girls do. So we do know that at the moment, the big male lions that are normally with this pride, it's 4 of them. 2 of them are together, probably not too far from this pride of lions, and then 2 of them are just further south from where we are, also with some other lionesses. Now I see these lions keep moving, and I'm not too sure as to what's going on. Yeah, I see one's gone down to almost like the bottom part of the drainage where we were initially parked, and you can see her all the way down there, just really not picking anything much other than the difference in color. That's really the only reason why we know. Okay, well, at least now we can see ears. Thank goodness for those super zooms. Cannot even speak now. Now she's definitely seen something, and you see she's moving very slowly. It's not like they're running, they're not pouncing. Everyone's quiet around here. We're going to stick around with them, see if any action does unfold and what goes on. But while we do that, let's head back to Tristan, who's got some interesting tracks to show us.
Well, I don't have the tracks to show you right now because we're trying to get onto these tracks and move as fast as we can, and we just temporarily lost them. But basically, we came along onto Philemon's cut line as we were going through the bush, and we came out and there were very fresh tracks for a leopard on top of some of the elephant tracks that were around, and the elephant we actually saw in the distance. So it looks like a track for a young male, maybe hukumuri, and it's definitely very good tracks, and so hopefully he's somewhere close by. Treehouse Dam is right here, so we want to head towards Treehouse Dam and just check it if he's not at the waterhole, maybe he's sitting there, or if it could be maybe one of our other leopards. I have a feeling though it is hukumuri. Rexon was telling me that on the track of this leopard that we were tracking, 2 of the claws are not retracting properly and are actually leaving 2 little dots on the front of the footprint, and so I wonder if maybe it is hukumuri or maybe Hosana has this little telltale track. It'll be interesting to see. I'm kind of secretly hoping it's Hosana, because if it's Hosana, I wouldn't be surprised he goes towards Treehouse Dam and lounges at Treehouse Dam. We know he's done it many times before. Hukumuri I don't think is going to be as receptive of us on foot as Hosana would be, but it's still exciting to see nice fresh tracks, and hopefully we can find it. The other reason why we didn't follow on the tracks itself is because the ellies were pretty much between where we were and the tracks, and so we would have been having to walk straight into the elephants, and so it made sense just to come round a little bit now and check towards the waterhole. If nothing comes out here, then we know that this leopard has gone more north, and we've got to then cut through the block and go and check towards the old hyena den. Maybe he's popped out that side and he's moving around there. The problem is with hukumuri, if it is him, is that he moves incredibly fast, and so we're going to have to walk quite quickly to keep up with him. And so while we do that, let's send you back across to Ali and those lions.
Right, well, now we definitely cannot see any of the adult females. We heard some Franklin's alarm calling, but in the distance, so we're still not sure as to what's going on. All the youngsters, sub-adults, and the cub have stayed behind, and they're staying pretty much put, and they know not to get involved in the process that's currently going. Because sometimes, especially as they start participating in the hunts, when they're a little bit older, perhaps a year and a half old, then often they spoil the hunts because they're a little bit too eager, and either they give their position away or they miscalculate. And it's quite funny, the females, when that happens, have a very grumpy faces and like, learn, you should learn. But these ones are still a little bit too young to be able to participate. Although, make no mistake, they're still quite powerful. Oh, it's gone super silent all around us. I still don't see what it is that we're looking. Right, we are going to stay put, find out what it is that is going on here and what they're looking at, but we'll send you across to Byron, who I believe its leopards have already eaten breakfast, or lunch or dinner.
That's right, Ali. Still sitting with Tingana. Now, the reason I am staying with this leopard is because it is so special to spend time with this male leopard, and he's been moving around a little bit for us. He really has surprised me, actually, because I thought with it being so warm today that he's possibly just going to stay in that long grass. But he climbed the tree, he climbed down, he finished what was left of that kill. There's absolutely nothing left now. Now he's come and he's lay in a bit of a seep line. I think that's the best way I can. Not a seep line, a little drainage line almost, I suppose you could call it, that leads to the dam behind us. We're right on the edge of camp, of Chitwa camp. So, and I think if there were any guests in, I think this is room 11, if I remember correctly. If there were guests in room 11, they would have an amazing view of this leopard. Isn't that that's just wonderful. That's when you know you are really in the bush. Now the canine, I don't know. I cannot answer that question. One of our viewers sent through something regarding the leopards and the various leopards around the world, the different species of leopards. James Richard, thank you very much, James. But there's so many, very Javan, Persian, Indian, North Chinese, Arabian, and Indo-Chinese. So 9 various leopard species. But now I wonder if that takes into account like the snow leopard and the cloud leopard and that. And that's what I'm not sure about, James. If you can maybe double check, but I know those are separate species, but do they fall under one of those categories? I'm not sure. But in terms of how many leopards there are around the world, I really don't know. In parts of the world they are considered to be endangered, certain species, and critically endangered because of people hunting and killing them. We still have a very healthy population in Africa, but we still, like all the animals, we have to protect them and we have to look after them. I'm going to spend some more time with this beautiful male leopard, but while I do that, it sounds like Tristan has found a slow-moving friend that he'd like to show you.
Well, we do have a very slow-moving friend, so it's not the leopard we were hoping for, but it is a form of a leopard, and it is a massive female leopard tortoise who's probably seen a lot in her life, and she's a little nervous because we just put a camera in her face, but slowly but surely she's coming out a little bit, so I'm going to move my foot out the way because she actually is looking at my foot a little bit. I also have to be a bit careful because we've just seen some buffalo close by as well, so we need to just pay attention to what we're doing because we've got elephants, there's a leopard around here somewhere, and some buffalo, so we can't get caught up too much in our leopard tortoise. But isn't she a beautiful girl? Now, she is absolutely huge. I was saying that she's a big girl, and I'll try and show you just how big she is. If I come and kneel down next to her, and I'll put my hand here, I don't want to scare her, but there you can get a sort of size comparison of my hand and how big she is. She is huge. And she's just come down for a drink of water, and now she's slowly moving away from this area and going back into the bush. But she's been attacked by something before, so if you have a look over here on her shell, you see there's a little indent there of something that tried to bite her, and then again at the back over here she has another little marking where something else has tried to bite her. So maybe some naughty lions that tried to get hold of her. It's about the right width apart for something like that try to grab her, but because she's so much bigger than the tortoise that other lioness grabbed, she's able to actually survive and move off. But I'm going to let her go because I need to get myself into a better spot than where we are currently, because if those buffalo come down to drink, I'm right out in the open and we have absolutely nowhere to go. So we're going to just try and head this way. Rex is over there, he can see the buffalo at the moment, and so we're going to try and head towards where Rexon is. Before I do that though, what is this? I don't actually know what this is. It looks like, is it just part of the plant, Fergus? Or is it an old bag nest? Looks like an old bag nest. But I think these buffalo are on their way. So let's quickly come across. Come, let's go. Fergus, we need to get going and try and get towards where Rex is, because I think these buffalo are coming down to this area. And so while we try and get into a nice position to watch these buffalo, let's send you back across, I think, to Byron or Ali. I'm not sure which one, but hopefully either one. It's got a nice surprise.
Well, it is me, Tristan, and, well, not quite a surprise, just a beautiful leopard, which we're still sitting with. Now, I got messages passed on that some of you were saying Tristan must just relate some of the history or the recent ongoings with Tingana and why he has lost condition like this. And he said it's not just old age. So I wonder what it is. Apparently he said some people are saying he has been in and around the camp recently. And, you know, I wonder if it hasn't been because of that new male leopard, Hokumuri, who's moved into the area. Possibly they had a fight, maybe. I know he's had a lot of kills stolen from him. Male lions putting pressure on him and stealing kills from him. Oh, that actually looks wonderful. Well, I think this leopard deserves a nice little break in the shade. Our beard, I've seen this before with old leopards that get pushed out of their territories. They do become somewhat nomadic again. So they are cautious. They don't want to bump into dominant male leopards. They don't want to get into fights. So exactly that. They kind of move around as undetected as possible. They don't mark territory anymore, but they'll obviously still leave a bit of scent around. There we go, there's a beautiful arrow-marked babbler. That's actually a lovely view of one. Wow. Beautiful light. They were calling quite a lot as this leopard moved slightly. I think he's found a nice, cool, sandy spot there, this male, and he's just going to rest for a while. And as it gets cooler, I do think he's going to go and drink at some point. I'm surprised he didn't go and drink already, but possibly drank a little bit earlier, and that's why when we found him, he was resting in that thick bush. Okay, I think let's go back to Ali. With those lions, I'm going to spend maybe another 5 minutes here, and then I think we'll leave this male.
Well, I know this is not the best view, but we are pretty much parked inside of a tree. Now, the lions ended up chasing something, but it was a very anticlimactic chase. All we could hear was something dashing through the bushes, and then that was pretty much it. So whatever it is that they were after, we didn't even get a glimpse. I have a strong feeling that it was a kudu, just because of the way it sounded when it was going through the bushes. It sounded like something more on the bigger side of things. And now they've all come down to the drainage line and they've had a drink in a little puddle that's there, the cub being the last one to arrive. And now they've gotten up and they've carried on moving onto the other side. Now it's going to be very difficult for me to try and follow them from here onto the other side. So I'm going to actually have to go around, all the way around the road to try and get back down to them. Because, as I mentioned earlier, I've tried before. It doesn't bode well for us. So I think while they're still lagging behind, and it almost seems like they're going in a general direction where they might end up at the road again, we're going to take this opportunity and then we're going to go around and hopefully we'll be able to keep up with them, as they obviously seem to be out and about and on the move. So it's always wonderful when lions are doing things. All right, big stump there. Okay. Now, I have an idea as to where they might pop out, but it's going to take us a little while until we get there. So hopefully we'll be able to get there and maybe we'll see what it is that they were chasing. canine. Elephants can get eaten by lion in this area. Well, it's very rare. Oh, there's talking about an elephant. There's an elephant right there. A few of them, actually. I don't think this is what the lions were after, though. We would have heard a lot of trumpeting had this been the case. But yes, in certain areas, particularly in a region of Botswana called Savuti, so towards the north of Botswana, there's a part of lions that specializes in hunting elephants. They tend to go for young elephants that are a little bit separated from the group, as they are the most vulnerable ones, and those are the ones that they tend to target for the hunt. It can happen, however, is not that common. As you can imagine, the two biggest or the most powerful predator against the biggest animal or the biggest land mammal is not really it's not an easy war. So it doesn't happen all that often. Okay, we're gonna have to drive quite far in. Hopefully we'll be able to keep up with those lions again. I am hoping that they're steadily going to carry on coming towards the road, as it can go either way, and it's quite a steep drainage line, this one. It's almost like a little canyon that's going on in this particular spot, so fingers crossed they'll carry on coming our way. Luckily, I've gotten stranded in the middle of this block before following lions, so hopefully we won't lose any vehicle parts like we did that time. But at least we'll be able to or maneuver or have an idea as to where we could go. This can go either way with the lions. Oh. Alright, let's see. There's something. There's an impala far, far away. So maybe that's the one that carried on coming and running. Now, I'm not going to stop for it because I just really want to try and get to these lions other than any other creature. And I think, where did we actually came all the way down here last time we were looking at them. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to catch them on this road once more. All right. Hold on, Senzo. Okay, come on, gears. Pardon me? Not anymore. Alright, I cannot hear the comms. I could, but seems like my radio might have gone a little bit crazy. Alright, lions. Gotta be here somewhere. Right, I believe Byron has left Tingana, so let's head back to him and find out what his plans are while I try to find these guys again.
Well, we've just left Tingana. He lay down, he's resting. We had a wonderful sighting of him going up and down the tree. So I think what we're going to do is leave him, let him rest. And, I do apologize. I think I may have bumped another sighting here. Oh dear, it's not good. It's not good. There's a giraffe. Not far. Sorry, I don't have radio comms with all these other guides. So, and if you have a look, there's some giraffe over there. Now, I'll see if I can get hold of any of these guides and just find out if there is a sighting or if they're watching the giraffe. I'm not sure. Any station copy me on this channel? I'll just see if I can get hold of someone. Is it? One of those very clear white markings on the neck. Yeah, look at that. See, we saw the giraffe yesterday. It's got those very distinct white markings around the ear and below the ear. It's disappearing. See, I cannot get hold of anybody on this radio station, unfortunately, or radio channel. It doesn't help me. So I don't know how Tristan does it sometimes. We always tease him, but I think he's got different groups where he chats to the guides. He's been in this area for a long time, so he's got ways and means of getting hold of people, I think. Beautiful light. So as I was saying, what I'd like to do is let's try head down to the dam, but I don't want to disturb his sighting. I think that maybe these guys are just watching the giraffe. I just want to see if they're going to come this way or where are they going. Yeah, I don't know if perhaps we can maybe try to go to Tristan or Ali, and then I can try to find out just what's going on here before. I don't want to get in the way or bump the sighting, if there is a sighting here. All right, let's go across to Ali quickly, and then let me just find out what's going on here, and then we'll let you know.
Alright, seems like we've had no luck so far, but not losing hope just yet. There's another little mud wallow where they might want to come and drink. What is that there? There, can you see them? Okay, well done, Senzo. Well spotted. Can I go down this way? I still haven't seen them. Okay. Alright, here we go through the canyon. Alrighty. Alright, this is where it gets tricky. This is where they've gone to sleep. Okay, now all we have to try and do is figure out how we're going to get there. But I see they've all pretty much laid down. Sneaky lions. Okay, come, Rusty. Right, I think if we go straight. All right, it's a little bit of a tricky one to try and get in there. All right, seems like Tristan, though, has managed to find another large mammal. So while we try to maneuver our way around here, let's head back to him.
Well, we wanted to show you a buffalo and an elephant, but both of them have just run away completely from us. So the buffalo went stampeding westwards, and the elephant has gone stampeding northwards away from us. So neither one of them is playing the game, and neither one of them wants to stick around. So we kind of got onto a perfect spot. We're on this massive termite mound. It is absolutely huge, and the view from up here is extraordinarily good. But I think the problem is that the wind is not really in our favor from this termite mound. Where the elephant was, and even where the buffalo was behind us, as we were approaching, our wind was kind of gusting towards them, and as soon as they picked that up, they were then gone and running off. So not ideal for an approach. They saw us also as we saw them, which is never a good thing. You always want to be able to see an animal before they see you, and then you can kind of position yourself in the right place. So unfortunately, our plan was thwarted by the wind. No good. But it does mean that we can now try and see if we can find this leopard, because the leopard kind of came into the same area as well, and with buffalo and elephants around, it always makes life very difficult. Now, we've been looking around inside here, and it is really tough to see any tracks. It's almost caked hard. I thought I just heard maybe a squirrel alarm calling. No, it's quiet that side. Puma, you're wondering if other leopards can smell the condition of a territorial male. Probably not, and the reason why is that a territorial male that's not in great condition is probably not marking very much at all. And if we saw with Tingana, when he was really not well, he kind of sat for 4 days under the same bush, didn't move, didn't scent mark or anything like that, and so that indicated that he probably wasn't feeling great. And so they don't scent mark nearly as much, also probably not walking nearly as much, which makes it a lot harder for the other males to be able to try and find them and to be able to try and kind of smell them. So I don't think they pick up a scent in terms of that there's leopard is not feeling well. It's more that a leopard not feeling well is not actually going to scent mark. But there's definitely a squirrel alarm calling straight to our eastern side, so let's go and investigate what's there. The problem is to get down this mound is going to take, well, how do we put this? A little bit of effort and a bit of kind of watchful walking, because it is about as steep as it gets. And I'm not sure the way that I'm thinking about going down is actually the best way. I think the best way to go down is the way that I came up, which is that way. Sorry, Ferg, I was just contemplating going down this side, but it doesn't look like a great side at all. Bobby, you're asking about biggest termite mounds, and so while we're kind of talking about termite mounds, I might as well stay on this one. Bobby, I think the biggest one that I've seen is there's an absolutely monstrous one that's on the Cheetah Plains and Coral boundary, or just north of the Cheetah Plains boundary there. And you could probably, I mean, this one is very tall. It's an incredible termite mound just because of its height. But at the end of the day, it's not very kind of wide. There's one there that is probably about the same height as this. In fact, I once measured our Land Rovers from the base of the wheel to the top of the back seats. That termite mound was double that height, which is very, very high. And it was also probably about 2 times the length of that car. So it just gives you an idea of how far that actually is. Now, we're not talking about our little Land Rovers. We're talking about the much longer ones with the bigger seats. So they do get absolutely massive. This is a very, very large one, though, very tall. And I can imagine many a leopard has probably sat exactly where we have at the moment. Good. While I negotiate this termite mound and hope that I do not fall on my bum, let's send you back across to Byron, who I believe has made his way to a waterhole.
All right, so I've got down to the dam. Okay, so those 2 vehicles that we bumped into were just viewing the giraffe that we saw. And you know, we haven't seen too many giraffe recently, so it's nice to get a good view of them out in the clearing. And but yeah, we've got so many animals. There's the impala, the nyala to the back. You can see the right hand side of the screen, and there's, let's see, there was some impala stotting earlier. Let's see if they're just running out of the clearing. No, just running, no stotting, but there was 1 or 2 stotting earlier. That beautiful rocking motion that they do when they do leap into the air, and then a lot of hippo around, as always. Oh, look at that, wow. Sorry, I'm just off to the left. There's a hippo that's breaching at the moment. There we go. Let's just keep an eye out. I wonder if they're chasing each other. Maybe. Just keep watching that little open space around there, just to the left of that tree, Vim. Yeah. Oh, there it goes. But that hippo actually breached out of the water fairly quickly. That was really interesting. I'm not sure if they are having a little dispute or if it was just trying to catch up to some of the others. So, you know, we did see 2 hippo having a little tussle the other day, and they were splashing around and opening their mouths really wide. Now, you might be able to hear the impala grunting next to us. And that's often the females calling their young. They give these little calls, this little grunt. Very strange sound for an impala to make. There's magnificent light at the moment. It really is very, very beautiful down at the dam. Very peaceful. A lot of birds calling, hardy-daws. And some Egyptian geese. Nice, Sinek. You love seeing the hippos. It is a lot of fun to see these hippos, and especially now they seem quite active. And if you do get active hippos splashing around or displaying, I remember there used to be a hippo at one of the dams we used to stop at on Landalosi, and you could stop there in the afternoon, and we would park in a certain position, and it was luck of the draw, but most of the time this hippo would open its mouth and display and bare those huge teeth and thrash through the water a bit, just towards the end of the afternoon, as it started to, or dusk, I suppose you could say. It always used to put on a magnificent display, and we used to, oh, look, there's a little baby there, a youngster. Two of them, they're both fairly young. They are cute. Often hippo rest their heads on one another. And that water's probably not that shallow, so they can keep their heads above the water, obviously to breathe, and they can move around if they have to. Is it Snazzy? Snazzy or Snazzy? Sorry, I can't hear the name properly. Snazzy. You are asking if the hippo and the impala compete for food. No, not necessarily. I mean, the hippo are bulk feeders. Oh, look. See, that's that little island where that tree is rested on. So that's why it's not that shallow there. I mean, not that deep. That's why that hippo, as it stood up, you could see most of the body comes out of the water. Snazzy, so, I mean, impala, they do graze from time to time on grass, but these hippo will go into areas, and, I mean, there's so much grass around at the moment. Impala will feed on slightly different grass. They definitely don't compete for food. Well, I think let's go back to Ellie and the lions, and I'm going to spend some time at the dam here.
Whew. Well, it was definitely, it was more adrenaline trying to get here than what we ended up getting from that lion hunt. They've definitely chosen a spot that is incredibly difficult to get to, just because at any one point I'm afraid that one of our tires is going to carry on being on the air. Yeah, well, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but that's how I felt it was to get all the way in here. Now, they've all decided to relax. They're all in this particular spot, and I don't blame them. It's actually a very nice, cool spot, so we'll give it to them for choosing well. We still didn't manage to see what it is that they were after. I have my suspicion on the impala that we saw earlier on, and apologies for not stopping by. I just wasn't sure if the lions were going to carry on moving. And now, as you've seen, it's not the easiest part of Djuma to follow them through the bushes. So I was just hoping to get here quick enough to be able to at least get a glimpse of them. I had hoped, though, that they would carry on moving past this specific section. But we don't always get what we want. At least, well, we wanted the lion, so we actually did get what we wanted, which is the... Although we are pretty much parked at this degree angle, and at one point getting here, we were just thinking that Land Rovers don't really tip over a 45-degree angle. So. But we managed to get here, so we're very happy about it, because at least now we can spend some more time with our beloved Nkuhumas. You definitely made us work for this one, though, girls. Alana, you're 14 years old and you're wondering if lions have gained or lost any traits in their evolution. Well, it depends when you want to consider the first lion, but I suppose if you just want to think of lions as a cat, or that they're coming from a cat family, I would suppose that their biggest change, or the biggest evolutionary trait that they've developed, is to be sociable. They are the only sociable cat. There's a reason for it, although conservationists and biologists and pretty much every scientific person always can have a different opinion. Some of them believe that they've evolved to be sociable because they are so big and they hunt big prey, so it's more beneficial to be bigger and live in groups. And some of them believe that they've evolved to hunt bigger prey because they've always lived in groups. So it's a bit of a, you don't really know what came first as far as I understand it. And I would say that's probably their most distinctive trait that sets them apart from the rest of the cats. We have many different species of cats in Africa and in the world, but at least in Africa they are the ones that spend their lives in groups. Whereas the rest of them, they do it in very small groups, perhaps mother and cubs, perhaps mating pairs that only associate for a little while, but not more than that. Right, we're going to try and balance our act over here, but while we do that, we'll send you back across to Byron, who I think is loving spending time with the hippos.
All right, now I am enjoying these hippos, but there was a brief bit of interaction. I'm hoping they do it again, but we had two hippos chasing each other. And it was amazing to see how quickly they moved through the water. It was very quick, but you can see how they've disturbed the water. There's still a few ripples around. Let's just wait and see. Oh, Laurie, you asked how many hippo are in this pod. Oh dear, Laurie. Let me try and see. I don't know. There's quite a few. Laurie, I'd say between 12 and 16, somewhere around there. So obviously there are a few underwater now, so it's tough to count. And there might even be more in this dam, Laurie. It might be up to 20, I'm not sure. But yeah, I can see quite a few through the back there. It's actually difficult to see. I'm just going to reposition slightly. Let me just go forward a little bit. Let's get this tree out of the way, I think, Via. Maybe this will help us a little bit. I think that's a nice view. I'm just having a look quickly. Yeah, I don't know. It's quite a few, Laurie, quite a few. All right, well, I'm going to sit here a little bit longer. If these hippos get active again, I'm going to ask for a quick link to us. But Tristan has managed to find, I think he said, large animals. Let's go and have a look.
We have managed to find our elephants. So before everyone thinks that we're absolutely crazy and we're just seeing animals that are running away from us, we've managed to kind of catch up with these two that I can see at the moment. And you can see a massive size difference between the two of them. So it looks like two bull elephants together. It's difficult to see. I've got a massive tree in front of my way, but I can't see nicely. It might be a cow and a young one, but all I can see is ears flapping at this stage. So it's amazing, though, how quiet these guys are. You kind of walk through, and only because they're having a bit of a mud wallow fairly close by did we hear them grumbling and grouching at each other, and that's how we actually found them. Now, we're sitting on a termite mound in the hope that they're going to start moving towards our direction, because if they move towards where we are, we're in such a beautiful spot that we might get a really nice view of what's going on. So I'm hoping that's going to be the case. I was also hoping if they were going to move away from us that they would have done so by now, because just in front of them, between us and them, is a nice termite mound that I would have liked to have tried to get onto, because we would have been able to see these guys really nicely. But it definitely looks like a big bull that's come out into the open there. So a nice big male, and then is it a male? I can't see nicely at all. Like I said, I'm just seeing kind of top of their backs from the angle that I'm sitting in at the moment. Fergus, is it a girl or a boy? I can't see very nicely. It's very difficult where we are at the moment. The other good thing is that we're at least on the right side of the wind now. So we've got a situation where The wind is drifting from those elephants towards us, and that's why they're so much more relaxed than what we had just now, where it was completely the opposite way around. We were pretty much where the elephants are, and the elephant was where we were, and it picked up our scent in about 1 second flat and just bolted out of there. So it's much better this way. At least we've got a situation where we've got them on the right side. I'll paint, you say dinosaurs are not extinct. Just look at these monsters. Well, exactly, and they are old animals, and they are incredible. They've got something about them that just kind of makes you sort of feel a little bit humbled as an individual, because you are nowhere near the size that they are. They are monstrous in comparison to what we deem big, and you know, it's an amazing animal from that point of view. So they really are kind of prehistoric in a way, and just absolutely massive. When you get these big bulls that come through here, they're my absolute favorite, particularly ones like Daryl. They have those big tusks. I find them fascinating, and imagine the stories that they could tell. Yes, Rex. The stories that they could tell after 50 years of walking around through these game reserves and in these wild places. They must see the most incredible stuff and have come across the most amazing things. So it's a very special thing to be in the company of a big old male elephant. I find it very relaxing, but also completely humbling at the same time. So it's one of my favorite things to do, is whenever I'm in the bush and I can get a chance to be on foot, is to try and find some ellies and just sit with them, even if they're far away and it's not a close encounter. Just the kind of peacefulness that goes about an elephant when you're sitting with them is absolutely amazing. Good. Now I'm going to just see, maybe we can try and get ourselves into a situation where we can try and sort of position slightly better, where we can maybe get a better view of these guys. And so while we do that, let's send you back across to Byron and those delightful hippos.
Oh, that's exciting that Tristan has got some elephant on foot again. There's a bit of movement from the younger hippo. Oh, look at that. Wonderful. Kane, hippos do have to worry about predators, and only really lions. Kane, I've seen lions, and especially coalitions, males, the big, strong, powerful males, try and hunt hippo, and actually was successful in hunting hippo. But also, I think in Botswana, there's a lot of hippo around, and also quite a few lion prides, and there too, some prides have been able to hunt hippo successfully. So it would be lions, and that's about it for hippo. The only predator that they really need to worry about. But it's mainly what happens is it's when they go out the water at night. So Kane, at night the hippo leave the water, they go out and feed in the clearings. And when they're moving from one water hole to another, which they sometimes do, they might bump into a pride of lions. And if they're alone, then chances of the lions hunting them are pretty good, or trying to hunt them. It does have to be an experienced pride. Bobby, the hippos mate in the water. You'll see the female basically just keeps her nostrils above the water. It's quite a funny scenario, but the females keep their nostrils above the water, and the males mount them and mate with them while they are in the water. There's a little yawn from a youngster. Hardly any teeth for us to see. Not like the big males with those huge teeth. All right, let's go back to Tristan and find out how his elephant viewing is going. Or has he found something else?
we have found something else, Byron. So we're watching the elephants and we're just coming down the mound, and behind us watching us is a very tall female giraffe. So she's been kind of sitting there watching our business as we've been going and trying to kind of find the ellies. And so we have a situation where, well, our giraffe is kind of moving along and is just having a little feed, and seems completely unfazed by our presence at all. We have a situation where it kind of looks at us every now and then, but otherwise she's very chilled. She's busy feeding off some tamburtis by the looks of things, which is a plant that giraffe often like to feed off. It's a way that they'll cleanse their system, so they eat those leaves, and it kind of acts as a little kind of, well, purgative, if you want to call it that, and they just get rid of a lot of the stuff that they're battling to digest. So it's a common thing to see them in tamburti thicket areas. You see them feeding along those places quite often, and so I'm not surprised that we've seen it. Now, interestingly enough, there's a school of thought that female giraffe like this will often bend a lot lower to feed than what male giraffe will. Male giraffe typically should stand quite upright and feed to the tops of trees. Of course, that is a bit of a myth. So I've seen male giraffe feeding very low down, high up, females the exact same. But apparently females spend more time doing this, according to some, which, like I say, I'm not sure I agree with very much at all. But she's going to amble off now into the thickets and into towards the distance, and we're probably not going to see much more of her. Their camouflage is absolutely incredible. So once they get behind a bit of trees and foliage, that spotted pattern just breaks up the outline completely, and they disappear in the space of about 2 seconds. Now, she's luckily still out in the open for us, so we can still see her as she goes. Right. So, Sinak, you're asking about plants that are toxic to giraffe. I'm sure there are many, but giraffe are clever. They won't eat certain things, so you won't find them eating lucky bean creepers. You won't find them eating poison apples. You won't find them eating various types of plants that we get out here. So they've, over millions of years of being on this earth, they've worked out what they need to do in order to stay alive. And so if they fed off plants that was going to kill them, then you would find a situation where they would all be dead and there wouldn't be any giraffe. So they know very well, and most of those plants that have these situations where they've got certain types of seed or fruit or whatever it may be that's toxic will have an indication to the animal. So lucky bean, for example, bright red and black seed, so the animals know this is not something that we should be feeding on. And that's how they do it. Good. Our giraffe is sort of meandered off. We're going to carry on going that way, the same way as the giraffe, because I'm still trying to see if I can find this leopard. This leopard is kind of giving us the slip, and with all the elephants and buffalo and everything else that's been around, it's been a little tough to be able to kind of actually follow up properly. So we'll go and check now to see if we can pick up some more tracks. While we do that, send you back across to Ali and those lions.
Well, it seems like at least the little one is up and going, and I think he's getting to that stage again where he's the only one awake and he just wants someone to wake up to start playing with him. He's gone through his grooming session. He's not really that sleepy yet. Keeps putting his head up, looking around. So I have hope that if he gets bored enough, he might wake somebody else up. The rest of them, they have not moved 1 inch, and I feel like we cannot really blame them today. They've had quite a tough day. We know where they were sleeping for the morning. We're not too sure as to where they came from or how much they walked during the day. But what we do know is that it was a very hot afternoon, and probably at some point either they started chasing something or they got chased away. It seems there have been many elephants that went through the area where they were in. And then, of course, they had the opportunity to go for this mystery creature that was in the drainage line a little bit earlier on. So I'm sure there's a little bit of stress and everything else mixed up together. Just makes them tired. So we'll forgive them for today for being sleepy. Also, I feel like this is an amazing spot for them to be in. It's actually very nice and cool. It's open. Nothing can get to them without them realizing that it's coming. And there used to be a little mud wallow. Actually, the mud wallow where we had them all drinking not too long ago, I think it might have been last week, is not too far from here. So I think if they decide to go somewhere, they might carry on going that way, and perhaps they'll go drink there. Although, if I recall correctly, I think maybe the elephants damaged it. Hello, little one. Now, if you're wondering about the car noises, there's obviously another vehicle of guests that we had to guide in, and it's a tricky spot. It's not an easy one to get in, so I think they're also trying to get out as best as they can. But sometimes you need a little bit of extra power, so I apologize for the unnatural noises. Jojo, I agree with you. It does look like they're lying down on a beach. Maybe that's why I'm a little bit jealous. Because I would also love to be on the sandy patch, tanning, just sleeping. They've got the good life there. Although the one that's sleeping to the right, I don't know if I would be that comfortable. It doesn't really seem like she's got the best spot in the house, but who knows? Maybe it was just a matter of choosing the best one. You, on the other hand, yeah, you are comfortable. You are a happy lying. You've got a little bit of sand. You've got a little bit of a cushion there in the grass. Sometimes I really don't understand how lions manage to get themselves into certain positions. And well, I must say though, the prize today is in how are you sleeping like that goes to Tingana. Hands down, he's definitely the one that won it this morning. I think compared to him, all of the lions are actually sleeping in a very traditional way. They're not lying on top of trees, barely balancing. What's going on there, guys? Seems like the one on the grassy patch raised her head a little bit, but I think perhaps it was due to getting annoyed by some flies or something else. Don't really think there was anything coming this way. Now, we also know that there are no elephants here, so it's probably the best spot that they found to sleep for the little while. But make no mistake, even though they are fast asleep, should another opportunity present itself like it did a little bit earlier on where we were watching them, then definitely they will try and pursue it. Well, we can tell now that they are definitely on the hunt and they're looking for food. They're not looking particularly skinny, but they are looking like they're ready to get their next meal. So I'm pretty sure that tonight they're gonna pretty much go wherever opportunity takes them. Now, in this particular spot where we're in, it's quite thick. There's a lot of dense cover, so I think they might have a chance at actually succeeding around here and just bringing something down. But I'm not too sure if perhaps they're also going to try and call for the two males whose tracks were also seen crossing outside of Juma today. So I doubt those guys are too far away. But hello, your head's up. What can you see? Oh, I think elephants, I actually maybe even called them because I hear some breaking of branches not too far from here. Very faint still. Copy that? Now, again, I cannot really see anything, but I definitely hear something not too far from where we are now. I cannot see if it's perhaps a francolin that just flew or something along those lines, but clearly she doesn't think that is that interesting. The canine lions and hyenas can eat each other, and just for fun we can also add leopards in that mix. Now, they don't go out hunting each other to eat each other, but it can happen that if they get quite annoyed with one another that they might try. Sorry, I just have to answer the radio for a second. Standing by. Sorry, I really haven't copied anything much other than the Ngala. Alright, well, that's that. So yes, as I was saying earlier on, they don't go out looking for each other to hunt and eat each other, but really what they do is just if they bump into each other and there's a bit of an altercation, then they might kill each other. And if they're under a certain condition where there's stress or there's not much food, then they will definitely take that opportunity. They will not pass on the opportunity of a meal, because at the end, hyenas, lion, leopard, it's all meat. But it's not the most common thing to see. I have seen it, but it's in the past, but it's not pretty, that's for sure, but it's not their main intention. What they're really after is the antelopes or buffaloes or pretty much anything else other than another predator. You have given up, and the rest of the pride waking up and playing with you, at least until it's nightfall, haven't you? I feel sorry for him every now and again, or well, her. We're not too sure as to what it is yet. I suspect a female, but I could be very, very wrong. But yeah, I feel sorry. It's probably annoying wanting to play and then just having to behave and be good, because otherwise you're gonna get growled at by the rest of the pride. But he's definitely very attent. Look at him, he's super cute. Definitely not sleepy. It's almost like when the little kids are in bed and then they know everybody's asleep and it's time to sleep, but your head just wanders and you start looking around and what is that I hear, and is that a wasp flying around? It seems like Byron has decided to come back all the way to Juma, so let's find out what his plans are from there.
Yep, I'm back on Juma now, and I think what I'm going to try and do is head towards Treehouse Dam. I just want to check around there because apparently Tristan had very fresh tracks of a leopard, so I just want to have a look. Maybe there was a leopard resting in that area and is possibly going to decide to come out and move around now that it's a bit cooler. Who knows? So that's what we're going to try and look for. Just having a look. You can see some tracks have been circled here. I wonder if Tristan didn't walk all the way down here. Lovely fresh afternoon or early evening, and I'm going to try see if we can frame up something really nice for you. VM, is that moon between the trees a little bit further? There we go. Look at that. Beautiful moon framed by a dead leadwood. I mean, not a leadwood, it looks like an old knobthorn. Lovely. Bobby, you were just asking about termite mounds, and do they decompose? Is that what you said, decompose? Or and I wonder if you mean do they... do you mean, Bobby, that do they fall apart and then and return to natural soil? Bobby, no. The termite mounds, once they've been built, generally, yes, it is soil, but those mounds themselves, it's made up of soil, so there's nothing really for it to turn back into, if that makes sense. So all that happens is it provides an area for plant matter to grow on. You get a lot of trees, a lot of grasses, many different plant species growing on termite mounds because the soil is very fertile because of all the excuse me, there's all the termite feces and saliva that they use to make that termite mound with the mixture of soil. It's very fertile, so a lot of plant material grows there. There's nothing for it to turn back into, really. So all that would happen is when they are abandoned, eventually seeds may germinate inside there and plants will grow out of those termite mounds. Excuse me. Curtis, we've actually had that question quite a few times before. If animals change their behavior around full moon, then Curtis, no. I've never seen any major changes. Look, I think some of the predators probably won't be as successful. You might get a little bit more movement out of certain animals because it is a lot brighter. So even diurnal animals may move around at night. But in terms of a drastic change in behavior, no, not really. Not really. Why I was saying the predators might not be as successful is because it's so bright. So the prey species are able to look out and see a lot better and probably spot predators much easier than they would when it's a new moon, when it's completely dark. I see some elephant tracks. However, I think these ellies walked that way, so back down the road, maybe towards that drainage line. I didn't really see it. I was about to say, just quickly, I was about to say, oh, we didn't see elephant this afternoon, but there's one across the clearing on the other side. Let's just have a quick look. There's an elephant moving through there. Okay, I've seen elephants and I'm happy. Oh, that elephant's quite far. I'm not sure if there are others around there. I don't see any others. Maybe just a lone bull. Alright, well, it sounds like Tristan's still out. I'm sure he's going to be heading back fairly shortly. Well, there's still a bit of light, but he's found some more elephant on foot. Let's go and have a look.
We have indeed, except that they're moving on to quarantine, and I'm actually quite keen to try and catch up with them because there's the most exquisite sunset at the moment, and with the Ellies on quarantine and the sunset, it'll be really pretty. But unfortunately, they've all kind of crossed the road already, so we're going to try and quickly get up in that way. So Ferg, you're going to have to follow us and try and come with us, and we're going to see if maybe just maybe we get a situation where we can actually spot these Ellies once again and try and actually view them. There's a really nice termite mound just on the sort of southern side of quarantine where they've walked to, and if they've gone past that mound, then maybe we can get up onto that mound and watch them from there, and we'll have the most beautiful view of the sunset. So just waiting for Ferg to catch up, and then also for Rex to go past me, because obviously Rex is the man with the rifle and he gets us into the decent positions while I talk to all of you. But it shouldn't take us long to get there. They're just up ahead of us, and so while we try and get there and see if we can find these Ellies and get into a good spot, let's send you back across to Ali and wonder if those lions are going to start waking up.
Well, I really don't think that they're going to start waking up, and I think we might actually leave them and then see if perhaps we can bump with any nocturnal creature as the sun starts coming down. I don't think the lions have their fair share of sleep today. It seems like they've had quite an interrupted sleep throughout the day, so I think that's going to push them to sleep a little bit further into the night than what they normally would, because they haven't had that very long all-day sleep and then moving up and then moving down with their hunting. So I'm going to try and figure a way out of here without possibly getting stuck in this big canyon. But we're going to send you guys off to Byron, who's with another beautiful spotted predator.
I am not a leopard, but a hyena. Oh no, I've been following him. It's been fine. It hasn't run. I was decided to run a little bit. Oh, now going off. See if we can get a last view quickly. Hold on. Because you see, and that's what I was speaking about this morning with trying to track and find hyena. They walk all over the show and they zigzag and they move through long grass, thick bush. They're actually really difficult to keep up with. Let me try reverse quickly. Maybe we get a last view. I'm not going to follow that hyena through the bush. Can you still see it? Oh, there it goes, just moving off. You see also very well camouflaged. They can disappear easily. Now, this is the time of the evening where these animals would start getting active. Generally nocturnal predators moving around, possibly trying to follow or listen out for leopards making a kill or smelling if leopards have a kill. We know that they try and scavenge off of leopards quite often. Even those lions, if the lions make a kill and the hyena are close by, actually what they'll do is sometimes they call other hyena in so that they can all try and intimidate the lions and get them off a kill. I've seen that before. I've seen that happen. It's usually if they're females and youngsters and the clan of hyenas is quite large, they'll be able to chase those lions off. Usually if a hyena is moving around by itself like this, it may try to find a leopard that it could potentially try and steal some of the food from if it hasn't hoisted in the tree yet. That was a wonderful surprise. See, and like I said, this morning we saw tracks of hyena on just about every road. Now they move around a lot, constantly looking, smelling, listening out for food, for possible alarm calls, or smelling if they can pick up the scent of a carcass. And I said, and I do believe this, I think I think they are probably the best trackers in nature. They're very, very alert animals and can pick up the scent of just about anything. Okay, let's go back across to Tristan, who's still got elephant on foot.
Well, I do have Ellie's on foot, and we are sitting in the middle of the thickets at a beautiful sunset, and we are just in amongst a herd of elephants. So there is a young bull that's just coming past. You can see him now. I'm quite hidden where I am. I might look like I'm in the real open, but I'm actually quite hidden from where this bull is, and he's following a herd that is heading towards an open area that we're going to try and get into a better position to see. Now, my name is Tristan, and on camera I've got Fergus, and we are coming to you live from South Africa. So that means that you can get involved with it and ask lots of questions, and you can do that by just posting your questions in the comments section below. Now, this bull Ellie, like I say, is following the rest of a herd that we just saw up ahead of us, and they're just on a clearing on the other side. So what I want to try to do is take you along with us as we go and try and get closer to this herd of elephants. And what we need to do when we do this is to stay nice and quiet, watch where we're stepping, and keep our eyes open. It's starting to get to quite a dark period in the day, and so we need to be a little careful about the way that we do it. But I'm pretty sure if we just kind of slow and steady, we'll get ourselves into a position where we'll be able to see these ellies absolutely beautifully. So let's see how we go. There you can see the last of the ellies is just going through the thicket there. It's quite difficult to see. It's just a grey bum that is moving through, and when you walk into elephants, it obviously is a potentially very dangerous situation. Elephants are really big animals, and when they're in a herd structure, they'll often try and protect their young, and so you've got to watch what you're doing and make sure that you're very observant, and particularly in light like this, because an elephant can actually blend incredibly well. But that ellie is slowly pushing off to the rest of the herd, so we're going to keep going, and we're going to try and, like I say, take you along with us as we move through. Now, when we're doing these kind of things, it's always very important to test the wind and to make sure that the wind is in your favor. And one of the things you can use is a bit of scrub hair dung. Now, this is dung that a scrub hair, which is like a rabbit, has defecated, and if you take it and you just squash it in your fingers and you hold it up, you see how it's very powdery. And now it can indicate which way the wind is going. So the wind is blowing over my right shoulder, which means the elephants are there. I need to cut a little further north, and then we'll be able to view them without the wind disturbing them. So let's go. Aileen, you say this is so awesome with the sunset behind. It is absolutely wonderful. It's such a special experience to be on foot with Africa's giants, sunsetting. It is a very, very special thing to do, and we are very privileged to be able to do this and have you along for the ride with us. So what we're going to try and do, just sneak a little further forward. There's a termite mound that's not too far from where I am now, and that's where we're going to try and head to try and get a bit of elevation so that we can see these ellies quite nicely. Also, a termite mound provides a little bit of protection from elephants. They don't like it when things are taller than them, and that's when they get a little bit kind of more nervous about what's going on, and they'll back down a little bit. So we'll try and see if we can find a little bit of height. Angela, you say you just love elephants. Well, Angela, I can't agree more. Elephants are amazing animals, and what's not to like? They're big, they're intelligent, they're socially very, very, very structured, and so they're amazing animals from that sort of point of view. As they have a very unique kind of life with the females that lead the herd and make sure that they are safe. They're amazing creatures, so very, very special. That's why I love elephants, and especially being on foot with them. Now, we're coming out towards the clearing. That's the termite mound that I want to get to over there. So we're going to try and just kind of sneak in that direction and hope that the ellies just stay where they are, because they should be just in front here. So, Stacy, you're asking, has there been an influx of elephant herds recently? So yes, Stacy, lots of elephant herds, and the reason why is all of these big trees that you're seeing behind me are fruiting at the moment. So they've got a lot of fruit in them, which means that these animals are coming for this nutrient-rich fruit, and that's what they're after. Now, I thought the ellies might be a little bit more visible than they are. You can see lots of tracks on the ground here, which is where they walked, and so I'm hoping that if we go up this mound, we'll be able to see them quite clearly. I was hoping they'd be kind of out in the clearing, and with the sunset, it would have been really pretty, but it seems as though they've kind of gone back into the thicket. I'm just trying to see nicely. No, I think they've pushed a little further. than I originally thought. Maybe what happened is they caught our scent and they got into a position where they were able to smell us, and then that's what made them move off a little bit. We were not great with the wind, so I think they've moved off, unfortunately. But from here we would have had the most spectacular view had they been in the open, but unfortunately I think they've gone into this thicket behind me, so I don't know if we'll be able to pursue them from there. So, Elizabeth, elephants can be, well, I suppose it doesn't really matter whether it's night or day. The problem with elephants at night is often people get much closer than they think they're getting because elephants blend in so well in the dark. It makes it very difficult for people to actually see them. And so you often have a situation where people get very close to them and they then obviously upset the elephants a little bit more. The other thing is that elephants at night will sometimes go into areas where they know they're not supposed to be. So camps, farmland areas. And when they go into those places, they're already in a sort of heightened level of stress because they know that it's a dangerous place to go. And so people that come across elephants at night in those areas often have a lot of problems. So it's a thing where you've got to be a little careful. But here in this particular part of the world where the elephants are treated with respect and we don't really see them too much at night and don't drive around too much at night, they're actually not too bad at all. And they're pretty much the same day or night. So it doesn't really matter too much. Unfortunately, though, this herd, I think, has just pushed too far for us to actually keep up with them. It's also getting far too dark now to follow through the thickets. And so it's been a pleasure having you with us. I hope that you enjoyed that brief little glimpse of an elephant on foot. And it was absolutely amazing to have you. And hopefully we'll see you on a safari with Safari Live again. You can just try and search for it on Google and you'll be able to find us there. So from myself and Ferg, it's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll see you all very soon. Right, so unfortunately the enemies moved a little faster than we wanted to. They've actually dropped, just saw a brief glimpse of them dropping down into the drainage line off their western side of quarantine, so a little too quick for us. But anyway, it was worth trying to get closer. It was very cool to spend so much time with so many animals this afternoon. So we're going to start heading closer towards home. It's starting to get very dingy out here, and so while we do that, let's send you back across to Byron. I wonder if he's kept up with that hyena or if he's had any luck with that male leopard.
No, unfortunately, no luck with the leopard just yet, but a few little elephant that came down to the dam. This one, a younger elephant, is just below us actually. There's a female that walked past. She didn't seem too comfortable to drink, but she is feeding behind us. We won't be able to show you now, but let's see if this one drinks again. Oh, there we go. Beautiful time of the day. Lovely reflection on the water. This would be great for photographs, I think, from the other side. You probably get a wonderful reflection. Very, very peaceful. Now, this is actually a perfect time for sundowners. We would usually do this with, obviously, with guests when you're on safari. Often stop for sundowners, have some refreshments, maybe a few snacks, enjoy the sunset. And sometimes you have animals coming past. You might. If you stop at a dam, you might have elephant coming down to drink. Just get everybody close to the vehicles, stand very quietly, and you might be able to enjoy an elephant drinking. Look at that. I think you can all hear it splashing the water around. Oh. trying to spray water on us. That's what that elephant thought of my comment about sundowners, maybe bragging a little bit. We got sundowners and we didn't. It was wonderful. Eloise, I've never seen elephants drinking directly with their mouth. You know what? Some elephants do injure or lose a trunk. I've seen elephants like that before. Then they'd have to. But you know, I've seen youngsters sometimes when they're wallowing in water put their mouth down and drink a little bit of water. But generally, adults, they use their trunks. So, Eloise, it can happen, but only in, I think, on the odd occasion. Well, let's carry on. We've still got some light. Let's see if we can find this leopard that is in this area. I'm not sure which direction it went. And obviously we won't be able to track now. We've lost the light. But maybe bump into something around here. There's some impala that have been feeding around and they seem very relaxed. So I doubt there's a threat nearby, but you never know. You never know. Reese, you know what? I haven't had the luck, I suppose, of seeing a crocodile kill at the water. Well, to an extent. I'll tell you what I have seen. I've seen crocodile actually. Now, this was actually quite fascinating. Crocodile, what it did was, and crocodiles often do this, especially in this area. They'll move up to the shallows of the dam or the water hole, and what they do is they actually move their tail, so the head will be this side. They'll move their tail around, and they kind of coax the fish into the shallows. And as the fish get to the really, really shallow parts of the dam, I've seen the crocodile turn and lunge, and they open their mouth and basically swipe up any fish that is possibly in that shallow water that they can grab. I've seen that before a few times. I once saw. Okay, first, you know, this area is very different to the Maasai Mara, for example. We don't have huge crossings of rivers, and we don't get to see those massive crocodiles hunting wildebeest and zebra and other animals like they do up there. But animals still go down and drink, and I have seen crocodiles feeding on animals, but I've never seen them actually catch one. Once I was working on Londolozi, got to a dam, and as we got there, a crocodile had just grabbed a wildebeest by its snout, managed to by the leg. It grabbed it by its leg, and it was pulling it into the water and pulled it right across to the other side of the dam. And this wildebeest just fought and eventually pulled the crocodile back to the other side. But during midway, the crocodile let go, swam around, and managed to grab the wildebeest by the throat, or bottom jaw rather. The wildebeest kept fighting, and eventually, somehow, managed to actually get away from the crocodile back on the side of the dam where it was originally caught. Stumbled out, both legs were broken. It got away from the water hole, but went and lay down in a drainage line and unfortunately died the next day. But it was very badly injured, but I can't believe that it got away from the crocodile. A leopard actually found it the next day and started feeding on it, but it was an amazing sighting. It's not always easy to see sightings like that, and they can be a bit traumatic, but it's nature, and so it was fascinating to see how powerful that wildebeest was to fight and get away from that crocodile. That was really an intense sighting. Okay, I'm going to carry on checking around here. Let's go across to Ali now. I think she's got some feathered friends. That's interesting.
We do, but they sort of started flying away. There's a tree not too far from us, or I should say right on top of us, and that's where they're headed. But there we go. that's exactly what we wanted to show you. Those are the chicks of the guinea fowl, the helmeted guinea fowl. And I thought they were done for the summer with the chicks, or that most of them would have already been big enough to have their colors. But nope, seems like we've got 2 late chicks for the season. Oh, 3 actually. I can see a 3rd one running around in there. That's great. That's really awesome to still be seeing it so late into the summertime. Now, it seems like this particular group has not finished feeding, and they're still busy moving around in there. Probably just getting the last few seeds as the little one is doing them. Yeah, there we go. Getting some grass seeds from the overhanging stems that it's found there. It almost reminds me of that little Franklin chick that we had a few days ago. Now, probably just finishing eating before they head back onto the tree, and then they call it a day. Now, we're going to leave them to their dinner and their fluffing up and their nighttime activities, and we'll head back to Tristan, who's got a beautiful view of the moon.
We do indeed. It is a absolutely perfect sunset that we've had this evening. The sun has gone down, the evening is crisp and clear, and the moon is almost full moon, and it is absolutely beautiful. It is big and round and bright and looking very, very spiffy, but it also unfortunately signifies the fact that we're going to have to start heading home soon. Otherwise we're going to end up in the dark, and it's going to be a very, very difficult challenge to kind of stay safe. But we are not far from home. We're very, very close, and so that's going to be okay. I've had a thoroughly good afternoon, actually. I've really enjoyed the walk this afternoon, and it'll be my last walk before I go on leave. So myself and Ali actually head off tomorrow. So I've thoroughly enjoyed kind of being out and walking through, and like I say, the temperature today has been perfect. It's been a beautiful, beautiful afternoon, filled with lots of very cool things. So I've thoroughly enjoyed what we've gotten up to this afternoon, and I think Fergus has as well. We've had a bit of everything, I suppose. We've had attacking insects and all kinds of other things, so it's been super, super cool. I was hoping to get a last elephant bull on quarantine. It's kind of every night that I've been walking around or coming home on quarantine in the vehicles, there's been an elephant bull sitting here, and I kind of had this sort of thought in my mind that I'd get out onto quarantine and we'll get a situation where there's going to be this big bull elephant, and we'll just sit until it gets to that point where it's just so dark that we can't really see anymore. But alas, my plan has not gone according to what I wanted it to be, but alas, that's the way life goes out here, and you can't be too ungrateful. Like I say, we've had an epic afternoon. But we're going to head home before it gets too dark. While we do that, let's send you back across to Byron, who is still, I think, searching for that male leopard.
Yep, trying, Tristan, trying, but no sign. Now, I wonder if we've had tracks of a male leopard in this area the last 2 days. So he's been very secretive because we're struggling to find him. I'm not sure if it is the same leopard or if 2 different leopards have passed through, but I would assume it's probably the same leopard. But maybe we have luck tomorrow if we don't bump into him now, this evening. And I'm checking everywhere, but no sign just yet. There's also a lot of impala around, so if that leopard did poke his head out of the thicket, I'm sure those impala would alarm call and give us a better chance of finding him. Well, in the meantime, I think we'll look for a leopard, but we'll also look for some nocturnal activity, see what we can find. I'd love to find another owl. The owls, they have been calling, but they've been fairly scarce. Not that many. Possibly a chameleon, maybe a scorpion. Who knows? Let's see. Just going to check this little drainage quite carefully, because often we know leopards tend to enjoy hiding down here, or maybe using these thicker areas to wander through. And I'd really like to find another chameleon. Peter Viper, did you ask, would any animals in the Sabi Sand area enjoy the snow? No, I don't think so. These animals have never seen snow, so I don't think they'd enjoy it very much. We know snow out here in this part of South Africa, that's for sure. The closest we get to something that resembles snow. Might be hail. That's about it. We have had hailstorms out here, but no snow, that's for sure. Can you imagine that big male leopard Tingana sitting in the snow shivering? No, that wouldn't be very nice, would it? Thought I spotted something. No. False alarm. My eyes are playing tricks on me. It's because I'm so eager to try and find a little creature like a chameleon or scorpion or leopard. Anything really. You know what, I was just saying to Viam, I'd love to find a snake in the tree. Now, my friend Judas used to do it often, and I don't know how he did it, but he'd find a little tree snake or a boomslang up in a tree regularly on drive. Alright, but while I search high and low, let's go across to Ali and see where she's off to.
Well, we managed to spot these two hyenas on the road from quite a distance, so we came as quickly as we could just to make sure that we wouldn't lose them, because hyenas are tricky animals to follow. Now, there's one that's still in front of us, and one has dashed off into the bush, so I'm hoping that they're going to come back in onto the road, and they're going to carry on walking down there. And it's good to finally see who's been walking around here. Now, there they go off into the distance, and they're busy sniffing all around. Now, by the looks of it, one of them is definitely older than the other one, just because it's got a lighter coloration and a bit of a fluffier coat altogether. And the other one that we cannot see anymore seemed to be a little bit older because it had less of a fluffier coat and much, much darker. Now, hyenas normally go out in either by themselves or in small groups when they start their night patrols or their night foraging sessions. So although it's more usual to see just one together, also seeing two together is fairly common and very exciting to actually have been able to see hyenas. I haven't seen them for a while. The last time I saw them was pretty much early morning, even before show started, I think about a week ago or so. So very cool to see them. Very happy to know that they're still around, and actually I hope that we get a hyena den soon enough, because it would be wonderful. Monique, you would like us to find a night jar. Okay, well, challenge accepted. We shall try to find a night jar for you. They are normally sitting in the middle of the road as we drive, but I think still a little bit early. Perhaps in a little while later then we'll be able to find one. Now, unfortunately, we cannot follow the hyenas into the bush as per the reserve rules, so we have to let them go and wish them a good luck altogether. Maybe they'll be able to find us a leopard tomorrow morning. Now, they can either be hunting, they can be looking for their own food to hunt down, or they can be looking to scavenge from somebody else. Sinag, well, I would reckon something like a genet would be the closest thing that would be able to get a guinea fowl. Guinea fowls tend to roost on trees, so it's very hard for anything to try and get them. Leopards, of course, could try their luck, but the idea to roost in a tree is just so that nobody really picks up on the fact that you're there. So hyenas, leopards, lions, guinea fowl would all see them coming from a mile away. A genet, on the other hand, might be living on the tree already, where the guinea fowl choose to roost, so it might have a night advantage on them. So if I had to choose, I would probably say a genet. They can become quite ferocious little creatures, so why not? Maybe genet. But the bigger predators that hunting during the day, I don't think they would have any luck during the night. They would probably not do all that well. Now, probably need to start getting the spotlight out soon enough. Maybe we'll be able to spot some chameleons. I know Tristan had one the other day, so I would definitely love to see one again as well. Alright, seems like Byron already has got his spotlight out, so let's head back to him. Maybe he'll find the chameleon first.
No, not yet, not yet. I am looking though. Looking very, very carefully. No sign just yet. Nice evening. Sinak, you're asking about those snakes that I was speaking about in the the boom slung or the tree snake. And are they nocturnal? They are. They've got very large eyes, so it does help them move around at night. So they do. I mean, they're obviously active during the day too, but they can move around and hunt at night. They've got huge eyes, very, very big eyes. So they'd probably try and hunt creatures like those chameleons. Perfect meal for a worm slug. No, I can't find a worm slug or a chameleon. It's actually quite tricky at times. I don't know what it is. Why we can't found one the other night, but sure, usually we tend to see a lot more, unless the vegetation is just so green that it's, I think it's just a leaf, but almost looked like one. Nah. VM, is that a baby? I think it is. Can you see there? It's a baby chameleon. Yo! Have a look just a little bit down. Can you see? Have you got it? No. Let me jump off. VM, if I can ask you to hold the spotlight just there. Hold on a second. Let me jump off. Have a look at this. Look at this little guy over here. Can you see him there, VM? Right at the tip of my finger. Have you got him? Look how big this little chameleon is, Sham. I don't want to disturb him. He's just moving. But look, I mean, he's about the size of my finger. Yes. Hey? How's that? Chameleon spot of the year, I think. I'm claiming it. I'm going to go back and brag to Tristan. That is wonderful. That's so special. See, I still get very, very excited about these little creatures. And that is so cute, a little baby chameleon. Oh, that's awesome. Isn't that beautiful? Bree, I don't know, practice. But you know what? It is a slightly different shade of green, and the shape just looked different to those leaves. But it is a bit of practice, and yeah, I mean, my friend Judas, a tracker I used to work with, he used to spot chameleons. I'd sometimes challenge him, and then I'd spot one or two, and then he'd say, okay. And then by the time we got to camp, it was about 10 or 8 that he spotted, and I still just had 2. So he taught me a lot about spotting these little creatures. Yeah, you can see it blends in perfectly there. Only when VM zooms in can you actually see that little baby chameleon. Now, this is the flap-necked chameleon. The only species we get in this area. But you can actually see that beautiful prehensile tail. That basically means it's able to use the tail as a limb. So it can curl around a branch and hang on if it needs to. Ah, wonderful. I'm going to take the lights off. We've had a wonderful view of it. Don't want to disturb it anymore. Let's leave that beautiful little chameleon. You can still get it with infrared. Of course. Forgot about the infrared. How cool is that? That is really, really awesome. Sure. I doubted myself for a second. That is cool. Hey? That's wonderful. See, our persistence paid off. Yeah, little baby chameleon. Well, I think I've earned my supper for tonight. Hopefully so. Hopefully Tristan doesn't shout at me and hopefully he gets back to camp before I do. Oh, yeah, he has, definitely. He's on bushwalk. So now we can tease him a little bit about getting back to camp early. We love teasing one another. I must admit, it's been so wonderful driving with Tristan and Ali again. And we've had a lot of fun in camp too. It's always very, very enjoyable. Great team. I think we just need James back here. Or I'd like to drive with James again. All right, let's go across to Ali and see if she's managed to spot anything in the trees.
Well, we did. We had a bush baby, but it jumped away, and now we can't seem to find it again. So I'm hoping that maybe if we come around here, then we'll see it, but seems like no luck. And we also heard a nightjar calling in the distance, which is actually a very pretty call. I should play that for you because it is one of those very characteristic night calls that just make it so special when you come on safari. So I'm just, oh, there we go. Maybe you can hear it in the distance. I'm just going to be quiet while I look for it on my phone. Here we go, calling in the distance. Alrighty. So that's the bird that we're looking for. Most of the time it's quite easy to find it during the nighttime because it is on the road a lot of the times, and this is what it looks like when it's out in the open or when it's flying around. Now let me see if okay, well, we don't have a better photograph, just this one, but we only get to see it flying away when we give him a fright, because most of the time they're just sitting still, very, very still on the road. And well, they call the night jar because they've got a mouth as big as a jar. Now, for some people, and to me it doesn't sound anything like it, but it's one of those things. For a lot of people, the call of the fiery neck nightjar says, "Good Lord, deliver us." I do not hear that in the call whatsoever, but it does work some people, so I'm just going to put it out there in case you guys do think, or it does sound like that to anyone, then it's an easy way to remember that call. To me, it just sounds like a beautiful melody, and now I've learned that the call sounds like that, but the "Good Lord, deliver us" part definitely makes no sense to me. But anyway, to each their own with their with the bird calls. Come, bush babies. First lady, bush babies and monkeys are distantly related. They're both primates, so they share a common ancestor somewhere further up the taxonomical line, about probably millions of years ago. So yes, they are related on some level, but they are very different. Bush babies, well, we have two species of bush baby here. The lesser bush baby, which is the one that we get to see more commonly, which is tiny. It's only about this big. And then the thick-tailed bush baby, which is a lot bigger, and it's almost the size of a small cat. Now, both these creatures are nocturnal, so they're not really like monkeys in the sense they are arboreal though, just like the monkeys, but they will come out during the night rather than during the day, so it's a little bit more difficult to find them. What is that I'm hearing? It sounded like maybe some guinea fowl were alarming in the distance, so I thought maybe there was something in there, but no. No, I'm just wheeling leopards everywhere where I go now. Let's see, what else is there here? Right, I think it's that time of the day where we have to start heading back home, so I'm going to say goodnight for today, but we'll send you across to Byron. Hopefully he'll be able to spot a nightjar and a chameleon before the drive wraps.
Not a nightjar or chameleon, something a little bit easier. There's a herd of elephant feeding very close to us, and isn't that beautiful with the moon shining on them? That's wonderful, wonderful. Let's just see, are they coming closer to us? I'll sit quietly. Luckily we're in the dark, so this is really beautiful. They're feeding so close to us. There's a nice cool breeze on these clearings at the moment. And Jared, these elephants, they will rest at night, but they don't necessarily sleep. Sometimes they might lay down and rest for an hour or so, but generally at night the elephants still move around. They also occasionally rest standing up, but they don't sleep like we need to sleep. All right, well, I don't want to move too much. It's been a wonderful afternoon. We've had leopard, we've had the lions, Tristan on bushwalk, a lot of elephant.